gonna, Laura was gonna hit an area, and, Natalie and Cheryl, this way, Natalie and Cheryl, I think we're gonna do an area, I think Jill was gonna do an area.
What?
I haven't. She hasn't been in any meeting. So if I haven't intentionally, we haven't sent out any now. But we were trying to make it kind of be the. I don't have to do anything on Tara's in charge. I don't have to do anything. Tell me stuff because I haven't seen it. She is my Jimmy card.
Steph, you've got a whole setup going on.
I know, it's
Look
really
at this.
embarrassing that I have to use
You've
this
even
mouse.
got a little mouse thing. This is cool.
I feel like I'm like ancient because I can't not use the computer without a mouse.
I kind of do the same thing recently. My mouse and my keyboard stopped working, so I have like all these plugins and I feel ya. I'm living.
I moved it so that I could get the whiteboard in.
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah.
So when's the?
We're trying to do it today.
Okay.
So, but I haven't seen Tara since we originally talked about it, so I obviously don't have time to.
Wow, that's got a real big delay.
Yeah. Much less anybody else's, so, but we were talking about that, so I'm trying to think about where, I don't know if you wanna do it around where you're living now.
That would be my prerogative to try and do that.
Guys, if you want bagels, Corey from Granite Escrow has brought along bagels. Help yourself. We're probably going to run 5 or so minutes late to start because I've got a few people saying that they're running a bit behind.
Why wouldn't she? But we might be people to do run like I mean, I don't know. I guess it doesn't matter wherever.
I just know that Natalie and Cheryl have been trying to work the heights, and Vanessa lives in the heights. And Vanessa says if I'm not gonna radius dial, I'm doing it where I can walk my dogs.
Yeah.
So she wants to do it around her house, and Natalie and Cheryl can, and anyway, none of my business, we're doing it out.
Sounds good.
I don't care what anybody else does.
I'll take Jason.
Lose the
Hey, hello there. How's it going? An appointment.
Yes.
Monday.
Nice.
Inspired.
Good for you.
There
you go, girl.
Perfect.
Not LA.
Yeah. I know. That was a long one.
Were the reviews
No, that was Sphere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm pretty good with those two, one person that I work with, so.
Yeah.
Yes?
Not now. They were my clients for 20 years.
Yeah.
Eventually, they retired, so. Yeah, it's exciting. Oh, congratulations. That's nice to hear that.
So Ben.
Yes, Lou?
Instead of open house, we could call it a preview.
Yep, we've done that before. Thank you.
Thank you.
The sign-in sheet, who's got that?
I'm on the way back.
Sugar?
No sugar. I don't know.
I think it has sugar.
Yeah, sugar.
Well, it has artificial sugar. Okay. I don't think any government's actual sugar anymore except the Zucca.
Well, so Stephanie, what's going on, girl?
Did you get everything else apparently?
Going to Oregon. Yes. Yeah.
That's good. The weather was so weird though. It was like 85 when we landed.
Oh, wow.
And like, I mean, it was
12
pretty.
degrees the next day.
And then the next day it was like 52. I'm like, what the heck? Yeah, it was funny because like everyone in the city, like there's people walking around without their shirts on. And I'm like, this is the only sun you guys have seen in a long time. I feel like. Yeah.
Guys who just arrived, there's some bagels there. Corey from Granite Escrow has helped us out with those. And pass it back if you can, thanks, Corey. I know, you're bold.
No way. Oh, did I miss miss you. Sorry.
That's okay, I'm a
Sorry.
stepchild.
There
So
you
we're
go.
in-
You're a what?
I'm good. I'm a stepchild.
You're a
I'm a
stepchild.
stepchild, you forgot me then.
You've missed the part. You've missed the part where you
missed
say
the part.
you're redheaded.
I'm not redheaded.
No, I know that. But if you're just a stepchild, you're less likely to be forgotten. If you're redheaded, then it's like, That's young. Genetically disturbed. Get my email, you said? Okay. Still got a few more minutes, guys. If you want to go to the bathroom, water fountains out there as well, and we've got coffee just at the back, along with bagels that Corey from Granite Escrow has helped us out with. Help yourself. A few more minutes. Mr. Benavides.
Yeah, I'd be fine going somewhere else.
Yeah.
You just missed that whole announcement, didn't you? You only have been already.
Well, I, no, never.
Hey,
Hey.
how are you?
Good.
Yeah. But they say that honor him every time. We know that's.
Just so you know, guys, that is the microphone for the camera. So you guys are going to be live on it. Okay?
No.
It's just going to Canada and Oregon.
All
In the
good.
desert, actually.
I heard you got recruited for Saturday?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exciting.
It'll be fun.
You guys have a good time.
Yeah.
So, recruited for what exactly?
For what Wesley's been trying to get you to go to.
Oh, the game.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. See, I'd be the worst person to take to that. The reason why is because I'd go and buy all the merchandise for it as well. Just turn
that-
up as a complete mascot.
That's why you'd be the best. Amelia's got a foam finger.
I'm gonna buy into it.
Yeah, I'll give Amelia's foam finger to you for Saturday.
Now you're right. I'm gonna sit to your right, so I'm not right on the microphone.
Here, I'll just scoot over one.
No,
Yeah, that's fine.
Alright.
Easier, we can just shift.
no, but then I'm right on the microphone.
That's quite all right with me.
Have you, Jason, you met Corey from Grab?
Has anybody seen it? Kathy? Kathy?
Jason's our new.
You really don't want to be on the mic?
Huh?
I said you really don't want to be on the mic.
Jason's our new.
Does it make a difference? It's on the microphone.
You're slightly further away. Are you not gonna move?
She just moved for all that.
I told her I was gonna move. She stole my spot.
Leaving.
I think there's.
That was an easy
I might have
shift.
to roll out some chairs for you, mate.
You can sit here if you want. How's Leah doing? How's Leah
Good.
doing? Good.
Huh?
Eric, are you sitting at the back? I just put the books there in the sign-in sheet. Can you do that? And then anybody else that hasn't signed in, just once Eric's finished with it.
I get ready.
Oh, you do? Thanks, bud. Anyone not signed in? No, I got you. Oh, we're good. Pass it back. Thank you. Everybody got booklets in front of them? Yeah. Good. Oh, I might even get to keep one. Start after the song? Yeah. I don't know how long it's good. Yeah. Okay. Are you okay with this, gentlemen? You alright with this? I'm going to turn it off. Okay. Yeah, thank you. Folks, I'm just going to give Corey from Granite Escrow a couple of minutes. He brought us along some bagels this morning and want to give him a little bit of time. But before he gets up, we had Corey's business owner the owner of Granite Escrow come and speak to our business owners the other day. And one thing that I wasn't very aware of is how much fraud goes on within escrow companies and not having your money secure for your clients and everything like that. It's one of those things where you're sort of like, who gives a shit, to be honest, okay, until it actually happens, and it's really scary, some of the case studies. It's fair enough to say I went home and changed all my passwords, I got them off my iPhone in the notes section, all that type of stuff, okay, because it was interesting and confronting how much that security stuff comes into play. And Granite is like the top level security, isn't it, mate?
Right.
You can shed some light on that and you can talk about it.
Yeah. Well, I won't scare you as much as my boss would. That's kind of his bread and butter, and that's what he worries about on a daily basis. Obviously, if you're owning an escrow company and you were to lose one of your clients' funds, we're in a very bad spot, you know, and that's what keeps him up at night. And so a little bit about like myself. I'm Corey Brandt. I've worked at the company for about 3 years. We've got offices spanning from Los Angeles all the way down to San Diego. I personally work in the Newport Beach branch as well as Laguna Woods, just down the street. Been with the company, like I said, since March of 2015, and if you guys don't remember, that's when TRID came about and the changes with the lending procedure was going around, and our boss just looked at that as an opportunity to strengthen our company, protect ourselves, protect you guys, protect your clients, and all your guys' information. And so we went through a very massive audit called an SSAE 16, which is now an SSAE 18, which is kind of just public letters and numbers to you guys right now, but it basically just says that we have a policy and procedure in place for literally everything that we do, from the shredding company we use, to the sign-in at the front door, to the emails we use. Everything's buttoned down, and it's very, very secure to protect your guys' money and your information that you're putting your clients, you know, in harm's way. So that keeps, you know, us worried, but at the end of the day, you guys care most about service, you know, support, communication, the escrow officers' ability to do the job, their knowledge on the transactions. And that really is the strength of our company, aside from the securities, is the people that work with us. You know, we're always trying to be, you know, part of the team, you know, earn our keep. I know that being a sponsor for Harcourts doesn't guarantee us anything, but it gives us a, you know, a foot in the door, so to speak. And, you know, but then I'm here to build a relationship, to learn what's important for you, what's important for your clients, how do you work, where are the opportunities, where are the weaknesses in your transactions, and provide you with the proper support to navigate those situations that can become very tricky. And I've been blessed to have a strong team that I work with, and it gets better each year. And I may not know everything. I mean, I sure as hell do not know everything, but my team does. You know, whether that's an officer in Beverly Hills or an officer in Mission Valley or Irvine Airport, we've got the resources there to tackle anything you may need. That's kind of why, you know, I like to be here, just be viewed as a resource. If you find yourself in a bind or an uncomfortable situation, or maybe even on a transaction that we're not working with you on, if you can't get the answer from your current team, call me. We don't mind that. We're here to help. You know, we've got a in-house general counsel there, full support staff, corporate team. There's a lot of resources, and we know that there are sticky situations out there. Maybe they don't feel comfortable and you just want to bounce an idea off, you can give me a call. You know, and aside from that too, if you guys are going to bind on rates and you're getting grinded by somebody and you don't want to go work with whatever escrow company is, you've never heard of them, call me. We get it. We understand that there's a situation maybe in that you don't like. We're there to work with you. We're very flexible on that. We view everybody as a part of our team, and you know, we're only as good as our last deal. You know, we don't have a captured audience. We're not, you know, in-house brokerage is pushing this business. So if we don't go above and beyond, we don't get that next one. So if I can ever be of help, let me know. I've got some information here, some business cards over there. I won't pass it all out, but I appreciate the opportunity to pop by. And
thanks, buddy.
Yeah, thank you.
Appreciate the bagels. A few people took you up on that. Thanks,
yeah.
mate. Thank you very much. Excellent. Yeah. Scaring the life out of me was probably an understatement when they were talking about all the fraud stuff and everything of that nature, because at the time I had all of my bank accounts passwords were the same.
Yep.
I'm like, probably need to change that. Yeah, it wasn't good. Anyway, guys, today we're here to talk about prospecting. There's two booklets in front of you. One says resource up in the top left-hand corner. The other one says work booklet. Okay, I'll be referring to both of them throughout the day. Again, this program has been designed, if any of you have done my training before or done the auction accreditation, the program is designed that everything that comes out of my mouth, you don't have to take notes on. I don't say don't take notes, but you know, it's all there in front of you, okay? So that you don't have to miss anything. You can always go back and reference it, whatever it may be. There's a seat here if you want it. However, folks, the purpose of today's process or today's training is about not only just auction, it's about leveraging auction to get more business, yes. But folks, the one thing that I want to make sure that we focus on in our prospecting training is that you could have one of the best resources available to you, which is auction, okay? But if you can't get people to speak to, okay, about it, it's useless. Does that make sense?
Right.
Okay, so today is about making sure that we generate leads, we get appointments, we can talk to the general public in respect to the process and what we offer, okay? Folks, today's session, 10 till 12:30, okay? I will have every endeavour to get you out of here early, okay? But either way, we'll have a break at around 11 for 10 minutes. Can somebody please remind me it's 11 o'clock if I've missed that, okay? Because I have a tendency to keep going, all right? Again, full disclaimer, we have Oregon and Canada and the desert people live streaming in today for the training as well. So anything that you are saying, they can hear it as well. So let's keep the Oregon jokes or the Canadian jokes or the desert people jokes to a limited, please. Okay, we don't want to offend anybody, even though they can't react. That's really, it's actually quite cool. Anyway, folks, just some of the expectations for every training session that I run. Phones are off. Now, when I say off, they are off the table, please. No vibrating, none of that type of stuff. I just ask that you respect that. Okay, if my phone is off, yours can be as well. If you start the session, you finish the session. I understand that potentially there might be some stuff that you need to head out for, but at the same point in time, guys, our sessions are done like a domino effect. If you miss part of it, it doesn't really make sense. Okay, respect the questions that others ask in the room. It is a safe room. There is no such thing as a stupid question when it comes to anything based on real estate. Okay, participate in all activities. Folks, I can't remember whether I've got activities or not, but anyway, we'll see. Okay, keep this in the Harcourts family and be proud of it because it's our point of difference, folks. I want to make sure that you understand that without all of our training, I just don't like it being duplicated and handed out to people. That's all, okay? Because we work very, very hard in order to get it all done for you because it is. It's very, it isn't your Mike Ferry, Brian Buffini, Tom Ferry, normal training. This is training from me that actually is in the field doing it and not to mention has done it as well, okay? So this is all the practitioners also throughout Harcourts that I've had to deal with or been privileged to deal with, everyone from $8 million in GCI all the way down to somebody doing $50,000 in GCI a year. And I take on everything that I possibly can, not only that I know works for me personally and has worked for me personally, but I know that works for others in different communities, whether it be the US, South Africa, wherever, okay? It's all there. But also, folks, again, when we talk about the auction side of the business, is that I always say to people that if you aren't passionate about it and you don't understand it, I just ask that you don't do it because we do not need the practice, okay? Just like to put that little disclaimer there. Now, our training workshops, today we're doing the prospecting one, understanding your number, getting started in your farm area, prospecting expired listings, prospecting around your auction listings, turning an inquiry into a seller, and then open houses and follow up and turning those into listings as well. That's some of the stuff that we'll be going through today. Okay, the other sessions that we run and that our workshops entail, who's done the auction accreditation in the class? Most of you, perfect, okay. These are just the things that we dig down into a little bit deeper because that accreditation is 2 days of just skimming over the top of absolutely everything and how it can work for you. This is where we dig down a little bit deeper into each individual category, okay. So we do a listing presentation one, and educating the Harcourts auction way, which is educating sellers and then negotiating the Harcourts auction way, okay. And a full list of those dates and times are up on H1, or if you're a prime office, you can ask Sherry on the way out. Guys, the first activity that we have today isn't really an activity where it's a group thing, it's just going around the room, and I want to ask everybody why we actually don't do prospecting or why we don't like it. Because today it's a chance to hide out in the open, folks, because with all due respect, that if you enjoy prospecting, you are a freak of nature, okay? Because I had to get myself very, very comfortable with the fact when I first started real estate, getting comfortable with the fact that I don't sell homes for a living, because you don't. People get into real estate because they think it's an easy way to make a quick buck, okay? Or they have a passion for people and they have a passion for real estate, okay? guys, the real thing that I had to get comfortable with, and I really think that it might be the catalyst to any success that I've ever had in real estate, is understanding what we do on a daily basis is prospect. We hunt for deals, don't we? Okay? Why don't we like prospecting?
Rejection.
Rejection. Yep, rejection's one. Uncomfortable. I'm not even going to try and write them because I can't spell. Okay. Rejection, uncomfortable. What else?
Lacking systems.
Lacking systems.
Don't know what to say.
Don't know what to say. Guys, why is it that we don't wake up every morning and be like, yes, I'm going to go prospecting today?
That's why I'm here.
It's work.
It's work. Yeah. It's interesting, you know, it's okay to have an internal struggle with it. It is okay to have an internal struggle with it, folks. But it's just like anything. When you get into a routine, this is going to sound weird. I don't like going on vacation. Okay? Don't get me wrong, I like when I'm actually there and I've relaxed and all that type of stuff. But I actually physically don't like it beforehand. Why? Because I get pulled out of my routine. I wouldn't go on vacations a long time ago. I didn't go on a vacation for 3 or 4 years because I didn't want to get pulled out of routine. I was very afraid of it because I was very afraid about having to hide out in the open and come back and try and get back into it. Who's ever like stopped exercising for a long period of time, then go for a run again? That is the worst experience of your life. Hey, huffing and puffing, you're spluttering, it's just horrible. It's the same thing if you give prospecting a break and then you don't get into your routine again and then you finally go back and do it, you just have this mental blockage for a long period of time. So the only thing that I can share with you guys from my perspective was having consistency with my prospecting. Even if it was just a small amount every day, I had to keep doing it just to get comfortable with it. But guess what, folks? I'm sorry if this is going to put you down for the day. You don't sell homes for a living. You prospect and you manage greed. That is all you do. It's whoever does it more effectively that is better. Okay? Whoever can get into a routine about it and has a system in place to do so. And that system has to be easy. Because if it's difficult and you need to do a lot of stuff to actually get business, you're not going to do it. Talking about rejection though, why are we afraid of rejection? Yep.
Reveal this.
Yep.
Our weakness.
Yep. Do you know what? It's funny, we don't ask a question or we don't ask people for the business or we don't prospect because we're fearful of rejection. The reason you are fearful, the reason isn't rejection, okay? And someone showed me this a long time ago. It's actually not the rejection. It's the fear of getting asked a question you don't know. It's the fear of them picking apart you as an individual, okay? It's a fear that they will ask you for a list of results and you can't give them to them. Okay? Rejection is an excuse so that you don't say that you're scared. And the reason that you are scared when you prospect is because you're afraid of the person on the other end of the phone. Who makes calls here in this room? Felipe, I know you do. Mm-hmm. How many calls do you make a day on average? Average?
The goal is to do 100, average of 50, 60 a day.
50, 60 a day, okay. How many times have you been told to literally fuck off?
A few.
Okay, how many?
Probably a couple times a day.
Yep, a couple times a day.
Yeah.
And you make 50, 60 contacts, is it?
Calls.
Calls? How many contacts do you make?
Contacts doing between 10 and 12.
10 and 12? And you'll get told to fuck off how many times?
About 2.
2, okay. So let's work on that ratio. 20% of the time someone's going to be aggressive. Someone's going to tell you to go away, okay? And the reason that we don't make 100% of our phone calls is because of the 20% of the people. Folks, you've got to get used to the fact and lean into the discomfort that is prospecting, okay? And if you do it enough and you get into a routine, it'll become a lot easier, okay? Anyway, it's my harp over. Folks, let's talk about some basic principles of prospecting for a second. Just some of my views on it, okay? Not that I've shared with you a few of them already. However, the first one, a passion for real estate will quickly evaporate if your prospecting does not produce results. I've seen a lot of new agents come and go from the business. Being a new agent is a wonderful, wonderful thing. Why is it a wonderful thing? Because you are naive. You haven't built up any self-entitlement. Someone does 2 or 3 deals, okay, they believe they don't have to prospect anymore. Their actual business then is propelling forward. It's a snowball effect. It's going to keep going. And then all of a sudden they quit real estate after a few more months when they realize the fact that I have to actually prospect for a living. But it's interesting, I've admitted this a number of times in all of my training, is that I hate people and I hate real estate. Okay, I don't have a passion for that anymore because of the volume that I've done. Okay, I always ask people all the time, are you passionate about real estate? Okay, are you passionate about people? And most of you will put your hands up and say, yes, I am. Folks, if you're not getting results, I haven't seen someone very passionate about people and real estate. Does that make sense? Okay, so that's important to understand, that is your prospecting going to work? And I'm going to show you how to make sure that you're not wasting your time this morning as well. Okay. To prospect to you the best of your ability, that's supposed to say your ability, you need to have your listing presentation dialed in. Guys, if you open up your work booklet, okay, just up in the top left-hand corner, so on the Harcourts auction sign at the front of it, turn over to page 6. These basic principles are there. Okay, so this is interesting. This one here, to prospect to your best of your ability, you need to have your listing presentation dialed in. Why? We had 2 people that we did a bit of a case study with in our offices. I owned 5 offices in the southwestern corridor of Brisbane at one stage. I had 2 much older business partners. One of them was a big numbers guy, and we set up a little bit of a case study because I was I was of the firm belief that you needed to have your listing presentation dialed in, otherwise you were too afraid of a yes on the other end of the phone or when you were prospecting because you didn't know how to execute it, okay? So we put 2 people, brand new agents, side by side. One of them we said, hey, just go out there and start your calls, start prospecting, farm area, all that type of stuff. The other person we didn't let start prospecting for a whole month until they could do an actual legitimate listing presentation in front of me. The person that did the listing presentation and was actually trained and ready to go in respect to answering questions, objections, all that type of stuff, was 3 times more effective than the person that was just out there just trying to get a yes, okay? Because they were scared of, well, how do I execute it? And then they were scared of when they did get a yes, how do I introduce somebody into my listing presentation that actually does know what they're doing? It looks kind of silly, okay? So again, there was so much doubt in that person's mind that they weren't just gung-ho on making sure they could get it done. Does that make sense, guys? I know it's a little cart before the horse and it sort of evaporates the purpose of today's session. However, I think that it's important to understand that if you don't have a dialed-in listing presentation, you won't prospect as hard, okay? Now, when I say dialed-in listing presentation, I don't mean that you just have a generalized structure. I mean that you can compete for listings, okay? In a competitive environment, you would feel comfortable. Market share does not come easy regardless of who you are or who you know. I love sitting down with brand new real estate agents, one, because they are naive and they believe that they will have a 50% market share of an individual area. It will never happen, folks, okay? Again, if that area is 50 properties, maybe it will, okay? However, if it's an area between 500 and 700 homes, the likelihood of you having any more than a 10% market share is very, very slim. And the reason why that is just based on the pure numbers of what real estate is and not being able to saturate that marketplace enough. So not having delusions of grandeur when it comes to prospecting is an important thing to do, and a feasibility study on that farm area is an important thing to do, which we're going to go through today. Okay? Must have the perception of listing and selling everything. This is important for the people in the room that don't do more than 10 transactions in their farm areas a year. The perception of listing and selling everything is where you make sure you don't claim it, you don't physically say that is my listing or I sold that property when you didn't, but you give a great perception that it is yours and that you did. Listing and selling everything. A seller will not entrust you with their biggest asset unless they think that you are credible. Unless they think you are credible, okay? And I'm going to show you how to have the perception of listing and selling everything today in our process, okay? Once you list the property, don't focus on selling it, focus on getting another listing from that property. If you look at the top 5 auction agents that we have, the top 5 auction agents are in the top 10 for us here in the US, okay? So 50% of the top 10 are doing auctions, and that is one of the big catalysts to their business. But one of the big catalysts for that top 5 is making sure, one, they leverage auction to get more business, but 2, is that they don't focus on selling it once they have it. Because you have a process, folks, that works 90-odd% of the time. You have Jason, you have myself as your auction directors that will help you put the deal together when it gets there. Just don't worry about it too much. Your main goal should be getting another listing before you sell the other one. And it's funny, I don't agree with this comment, okay? But it gave me a great perspective very early on in my real estate career. My business owner at the time was very transactional based, and if anyone understands old school real estate, no one gave a shit about their clients or what people thought of them. It was simply crush the deal together, get a paycheck. That's really what it was. And that's why real estate agents have such a bad reputation internationally, because that is old real estate, okay? And my business owner, you know, the gentleman who trained me for a period of time, Bill was about 60 years of age, been in real estate longer than you've been alive, Ben, blah, 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 the whole cliche, okay? However, it was interesting one day, he said to me, have you got another listing out of that? Have you got another listing out of that sale? And I'll explain that shortly, but I said, no, not yet. He goes, well, are you going to sell that? I'm like, the sellers just want way too much money for it. I don't know if I'm even going to come close on auction day. And he's like, Ben, that is where you need to make sure you do get another listing before auction day, because then the result doesn't matter. It's funny, when he said that, I sort of taken a bit of a back seat going, but I really want to get the result, obviously, and I want to get paid for this, and you know, I want to make sure it's a good result so I have a great reputation. But he's like, don't worry about the result. Use it to get more business before the result. You don't have to worry about whether you sold it or not. Again, I don't agree with that, but there's some concept of it that I do. Okay? Because don't let the seller, you can be defined by one result, but you're limited in respect to the control that you can have on that one result. Okay? Seller might want too much, buyer might not want to pay enough, the property might have defects, and then the other sellers in the area, the neighbours' interpretation of whether or not that's the right sale price is muddied, because they don't know all the details, do they? So why wouldn't we list something before the result turns up? So focusing on not selling the property, getting another one before it's sold is probably a good point. Okay, everyone is a seller. It's just a matter of when. One thing that really frustrates me about real estate here, folks, I'll give you an example. I hired a prospector to prospect around your auction. Some of you may have experienced that. He was producing 25 leads a week. Awesome, hey? No, I had to move him on. And the reason I had to move him on is because I'd call you guys and say, hey, here's a lead. Are they ready to list now? No, they're not. They probably need to be nurtured for about 6 to 12 months. But here's their contact information. Here you go. Nobody was prepared to nurture. No one. Okay? So you can generate leads, folks, but if you don't nurture them, there's no point. Okay? Because everyone is a seller. It's a matter of when. Everyone is a seller. It is a matter of when. Okay? If they have an agent already, it doesn't matter. Now, that is not politically correct, okay? Obviously, if they have an agreement signed or whatever it may be. If they have an agent already, one of the real things that I experienced early on, you know how in an auction you have to take down everyone's information at the front door, okay? And we ask the question, do you have an agent? If they are a buyer on their own or whatever it is, okay? Or they come with their agent, okay? You don't usually do too much follow-up with that person, because you believe that even if they have a home to sell, they're going to sell through that person as well. Guys, some of the best leads that we have gotten is from a buyer walking in that has an agent, and then they're like, so this auction thing, it sounds pretty cool. Tell me more about it. And then all of a sudden we are then in competition with that other agent. But most of the time you would hear that they've got another agent, you pretty much cross them off your follow-up list or your leads or anything like that. Guys, it doesn't matter if they already have an agent, because you can still get an opportunity for the listing appointment, can't you? They don't have to be loyal to that agent for the listing appointment. The only thing that then you fight against is commissions, because they might lower their commission because they're doing 2 deals. However, follow-up when someone says no is key. Wesley Williams is the absolute picture of this, isn't he, Steph? Okay? This guy is the largest pain in my ass when I tell him I have a lead. We were giving him a lead in Yorba Linda because it's right down the road from a property that he sold. And the lady called me the other day and I said, where did you get my information? Oh, I met Wesley before. So I gave him the lead. I said, hey mate, she wants to talk to me first. He messaged me 4 times that day. Have you spoken to the lady? Beautiful follow-up, guys. And I said, no, I haven't, I'm going to do it tomorrow. I don't have time to do it today. He still messaged me 4 times. And do you know what? I can't get annoyed at that. You can't. Because he is hungry enough to chase that deal down. Not to mention as well, when he's on the phone to expired and someone says no, he still follows them up. It's beautiful. It is the greatest thing ever. Because the thing I want to teach you about expired listings is something that you all should realise. The mental stability of a person that says yes on the phone after 30 seconds with you on the call that is a perfectly good stranger, their mental stability, do you think it's healthy? It's not. People wonder why, okay? People wonder why they deal with nutcase sellers in the expired realm, because you are expecting a yes straight away. If they say yes, guys, there should be a red flag. Cuckoo. Okay? There should be some form of red flag. But not often, because if someone says, no, I'm not interested, I'm not selling my property again, you won't follow up. They're just telling you that to get rid of you. Great example of this, Chad and Justin came up to Oregon to do the auction accreditation. They're from our Monarch Beach office. You may or may not have heard the story before because it's a great picture of that. We're in the car driving out to where I was doing the auction accreditation. We've picked them up. Full disclosure, I am extraordinarily hungover, okay? Because we'd had a huge night the night before, and I'm driving out there, and I didn't want to do this, and I didn't want to make phone calls, but for some reason they do it every morning, okay? They're like, let's do expired calls, and I want you to do them, Ben. I want to see how you do it. I'm like, really? Okay, fine. So there was a gentleman, Pelican Hill, $3.2 million is what he was previously listed for, okay? Ring, ring, ring. He picks up the phone. I give my script, which you'll hear today. No, leave me alone. You people have been calling me all morning. Hangs up. Okay? They laugh, ha 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 ha, sucked in, da 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 da. I'm like, give it 10 minutes, I'll call him back. Why? He said no. Just let me call him back. 10 minutes goes past, calls him back. Hey, I don't want to talk to you. No, thank you. Goodbye. Done. I'm like, we'll call him tonight before we go to dinner. They're like, why? He said no, you're not getting the business. No, it's a matter of persistence. I called him just before we went to dinner in their hotel room on speaker. He's like, why do you keep calling me? Because I know I can genuinely help you with our different process. Well, look, send me some information. Emailed. Called him the next day. Hey, I wanted to follow up that you got my email. You're not going to leave me alone, are you? No, not until you give me 15 minutes of your time to explain our non-distress auction process. Okay? Okay, fine, come along. He's going to list it again in June because he's overseas at the moment. $3.2 million, Pelican Hill, took 5-ish, 6-ish points of contact for him to say yes. He's probably pretty mentally stable also. But think about the people that you've walked into that have said yes straight away, guys. If you ever do expireds, Felipe, you've probably had a couple of those that have been completely quirky, mate. Yeah?
Yes.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Anyway, guys, they're some key fundamentals, some key principles in respect to prospecting. From my point of view, they're at the front of your booklet that you can make reference to at any point. Okay? Case study for a second. You guys are going to have to bear with me for a second because this is a little bit contradicting to what potentially I've said for a long period of time, but I think that it's a really good point that I'm sort of getting myself more comfortable with as I go. Why should you take on a listing that? Why should I take on a listing that I know the seller wants too much money and is not motivated? It's funny that for a long period of time, if someone's asked me, Ben, they want too much money, they're not that motivated, should I take it on? My answer would have been just no. Don't do it, don't waste your time, it's a bad investment of time. But I think the one thing that is an important statistic in all of this, or is an important case study, is that I called my good mate Ben Chick, who's in Australia. Ben does about $1.8 million in GCI selling $200,000 to $300,000 homes a year in a marketplace that is so volatile. If the share price of mining companies goes down, their entire marketplace shuts down. If it goes up, their entire marketplace is still cautious because they know that a down is coming. Okay? So Ben is probably one of the most skilled real estate professionals that I've ever had the pleasure of dealing with. Now, Ben, he's he said to me, because I ran this past him when I read an article one time, and I said to him, hey, how does this apply to dealing with difficult inventory? Because I know that you deal with 90% of your stuff is difficult. He goes, well, you know, it's funny, is that we've had a couple of our realtors from Mackay, which is in North Queensland, in that market, go down to Brisbane, which is the biggest city down in Queensland. And then he goes, those guys are in the top 10 real estate agents in Brisbane now, because they're always dealing in difficult situations. It's funny, a real estate agent that does about $4 to $5 million a year in Australia, his name's Matt Lancashire, he's a top performer. If you're in a good marketplace, similar to the market that we're in here now, guys, you can sell a property between $500 and $1 million, maybe even $1.5 million, like that, pretty much, yeah, goes, goodbye. You're not real estate fit. You haven't had to educate sellers, you haven't had to negotiate deals, you haven't had to do any of that type of stuff. Why do you think the real estate industry reduces by 50% when the marketplace turns? Because no one's real estate fit. They're not constantly keeping themselves real estate fit, okay? And it's an important thing to understand, guys. The way that you should answer this question, should I take on a listing that's overpriced and my seller wants too much and they're not motivated? Your response to that should be, how confident are you that if the marketplace took a downturn tomorrow, that you would still be able to educate, negotiate, and make money? Because anyone can list in a bad marketplace. That's the easy part, okay? It's once you have them, are you ready to do what's necessary in order to get the deal done? Do you know how to do that? Okay? You don't have to be completely ready to do that though, because you have auction, you have us to help you with that, okay? However, this is a very good point. Should you take on an overpriced expired listing? My answer at the moment is yes. If you are not real estate fit enough. Does that make sense? Okay, now the reason I've got this in the prospecting section is because you've got to make a decision when you're in that meeting after you get the lead, do you continue forward? And most of the time I hear people say, no, they just want too much money, I'm going to let it go. Well, hang on a second. One, how busy are you? Can you use it to get more business? Okay, there's been several experiments that I've had with agents where I'm like, no, they want way too much money. Take the listing on, folks. If you've got, my question to you, and you've heard me ask it, you've had me ask it to you before, how busy are you? Because if you're not busy enough, okay, then you should take the listing on to become better educated at doing things, become more real estate fit, but also to be able to prospect around that business, okay? Understanding your number, guys, full disclosure, this morning, it's gonna go a little bit slow for the next hour, 30 minutes. Okay, and the reason why, until we hit 11 o'clock, I guess, is because we're going to talk about numbers, and this is the most boring part of prospecting, okay? However, it is so necessary because I see people waste so much of their time on the wrong area, okay? So folks, when you're picking a farm area, first of all, I think I should probably obviously hide out in the open. I don't believe in the mentality of no farm area. I don't know how you can be a real estate professional. I don't know how you can sustain a big business. So I truly believe in a farm area, and I truly believe on making sure that I have the perception of listing and selling everything in that area to therefore be dominant. Now I'm going to show you how to do that, but first of all, we've got to pick the area. Typically what an agent will do to pick an area, they live in the area appeals to the area, they think it's a nice area, whatever, okay? These are not the right things to choose an area. We like it, we're really passionate about that area. I've heard that so many times. You know, I'm invested in the area because I live there. That's usually a really big fail point in a listing presentation. I usually point out to people that that is a big fail point for an agent if they live locally in the area, okay? However, these are not the right things to pick an area for, okay? A farm area, reverse analysis. All of it starts with understanding how much money you want to make. Understanding your number and what you need to hit in order to make that amount of money. So for example, what are the first things that we need to ask ourselves when we do this number, okay? One, how much money do I want to make? income goal. Okay? 2, how many homes do I need to sell to make X amount of money? How many listings do I need to secure X number of homes? How many listing presentations do I need to conduct to secure X number of listings? How many doors do I need to knock, cold call, open house, whatever it is, in order to obtain that many listing appointments? Folks, the great thing about what you can do in this business, you can predict what you are going to get out of how much activity that you do. But you have to monitor it because it's different for every single person. Okay? For example, I'm really, really good on the phones. I don't know why, it's just something that I resonate with. Going door knocking, I was okay at that, okay, but it still wasn't a great skill set. The reason why, the whole time I was door knocking, is that I thought I could be making 4 phone calls on the way of walking to the next one. Okay, it was just something mentally that I had, okay? So I was much more effective on the phone. So I could tell you that out of 120 calls that I would make, it would round up to about 10 listing appointments. And it's important not to work off ratios of 1 to 30 or 1 to 40 or whatever it is, because it is actually discouraging. So if I told you that you had to make 30 phone calls to get 1 listing or 30 contacts to get 1 listing appointment, okay, it's a little bit discouraging. You're like, shit, to get 30 contacts on the phone is quite hard, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay, so either way, creating a prospecting diary, you don't have to write in there, dear diary, today I did this. Just making sure that you are keeping clear notes on the activities that you are doing and the results that you are getting. I made this many calls today which resulted in this. Then you can come to an average. So then you can better place yourself in your business. But it all starts off with your income goal. This all comes to a conclusion shortly, guys, so you've got to bear with me. I told you that this is going to be boring, okay? This is an important tip as well. There's 2 tips. First of all, do not include any income you hope to achieve from buyer representation, okay? Reason why that is, okay, is buyer representation is so flighty and so unpredictable that it can be discouraging, but it can be really, really beneficial as well. I'm not saying don't do it, but base your income goals off the part of your business that has to do with listings, because that is the most control that you can have within your real estate business, okay? Number 2, it is important to use net income, okay? There are a few real estate businesses that I work with, or agents that I work with here, that they do great GCI, unbelievable GCI, but their net is horrific, okay? I dealt with a group in Sydney that did $3 million in GCI, okay? They both walked away with $200,000 each for the year. If you're paying for marketing, reducing your fees, paying overhead, whatever it is, okay, don't lie to yourself about how much money you're making, okay? Do not lie to yourself about how much money you really are making, okay? And I'll show you that shortly. So folks, how do we figure out our total NCI? Does everyone know what GCI means? Gross commission income. Gross commission income. How much money you brought in gross commission from your sales, before splits, before everything like that. This is focusing on NCI, net commission income, okay? So let's focus on this. Now I know your average sale price is a lot higher than this. Please understand I still run this same session in Oregon and in Reno, and I don't want them to jump off a bridge at the end of it, okay? So, average house price, $550,000, your average commission intake into that listing. Guys, you've got to be realistic about this one. You can have aspirations that you have an average of 3% or whatever it may be, okay? Do it on a limited basis in respect to the average commission, okay? So, 2.5%, which gives you an average commission of $13,750. Take that $13,750, take out your franchise fee, your office split. I've kept it at 70-30. I don't know what yours is. You do whatever you want, okay? Average expense of taking a listing, $1,000. Okay, that is what we've come out as an average for somebody. That doesn't include insurances, your time, all that type of stuff. That is just hard money cost, okay? 30%, we've used that as a tax rate. That might be a touch high, okay? However, it is what it is. Making sure that we're doing it on a limited basis so we're surprised at the end. So what you actually get out of that entire commission of $13,750 is roughly about $5,500 or $5,633.25 if you really want to be specific. How do we find out what your number is to see whether or not your farm area can sustain the level of income that you want? Because this is an extraordinarily important fact. Okay? Take the $100,000 that you want to make in net commission income, money to you that you can spend. Okay? And divide it by that number here, what you get out of every deal after you take out everything. So if I want to make $100,000 with an average sale price of $550 and my average commission being 2.5%, I need to get to 18 deals at 17.75, but let's round it up. I need to do 18 deals in order to make 100 grand. That is confronting, because remember, the average realtor, okay, in the state of California does 1.5 deals a year, okay? Average realtor in Harcourts does about 4.5 deals a year. Okay? That's confronting, right? Now again, average price points, all that type of stuff come into play. Congratulations for living in Southern California. Okay? Well done. Sorry about the desert and Oregon and Canada and Hawaii and everyone that's listening. Okay? However, understanding your number allows you then to go away and determine, is the farm area that you're about to pick, can it physically sustain your level of income? Guys, I do this on a daily basis with people, and one of the toughest conversations I have to have with an established real estate agent that isn't making what they want is that they've completely wasted years of their life. Okay? I had a lady, a good friend of mine in Australia, Jess Boyd, who picked an area in Peachtree Terrace, Brisbane, okay? And if she was to do, her number was about 12 transactions a year. She wasn't overly serious about real estate, but it was about 12 transactions a year. She'd been working that area for 4 years, right? If she was to do 12 transactions a year just out of Peachtree Terrace where she was working, she would have had to have 140% market share. Which is not possible, by the way, anyone that's looking at me weird, okay? Not possible at all. And I had to tell Jess that. Jess broke down in absolute tears, and it took her about a month to forget the fact that she'd wasted 4 years of her life prospecting, okay? There's obviously things that can benefit out of it and all that type of stuff, but guys, understanding and doing this before you have to start working your ass off, and that is what prospecting is working your ass off, okay? Because there's an all mental factor in this as well. If you know that your business can be sustained out of that area, you'll work a hell of a lot harder, okay? The one thing I do want to share with you, and this is where most people get a little bit confused, okay, so bear with me. Remember the number, if I wanted to make $100,000 with an average sale price of $550 and an income, an average fee of 2.5% was 18. Let's just remember that number for a second. We'll use that as an example. 18 is that number. Let's say that let's say that you wanted to lose weight, right? It's an aspiration of people with a New Year's resolution. Hey, I want to lose weight. Great. How much do you want to lose? I want to lose 10 pounds. Okay? So if you want to lose 10 pounds, imagine if you went to a personal trainer and they said to you, hey guys, doesn't matter. All we're going to do is focus on losing 6 pounds. The rest of it will just fall off, I guarantee it. You'd feel pretty happy about that, wouldn't you? Fair enough? Yes?
Yes.
Good. I'm going to say to you now is that you only need to make sure that your area can sustain 60% of the number of transactions that you need. So for example, guys, as I've broken it down there, okay, it equals, 60% of 18 equals, what is it, 10.8, which rounded up is 11. So our magical number of picking a farm area is actually 11. It's not 18. Why? Because if you get 60% of the way there in your farm area, the people that you meet in your farm area through open houses, referrals, whatever it is, will refer you business outside of your farm area, and which will make up a further 40% of your business. And this is completely proven over a 10-year study across all real estate companies within Australia, New Zealand, the US, UK, all that type of stuff. 60% of what you do will turn into a further 40%. It's great that real estate breeds laziness, isn't it? Because you don't have to get all the way there to your goal. It'll naturally propel forward. You will succeed without even trying if you get 60% of the way there. Okay? And if you really leverage it, it can be more. However, Guys, in order to make $100,000 with an average sale price of $550 and 2.5% average fee, I need 18 sides to a deal, okay? But I want to focus on listings, remember, not buyer commissions. If we get that, that is beautiful cream on top. Cream, okay? 18 listings is what well, 18 properties I need to sell. 60% of it is 10.8, round it to 11. So all I need is 11 listings now in order to get to my 18. Is everyone with me?
Yeah.
All right. Now, I will say this, however, to get those 11 properties or 11 listings or sell those 11 properties, if you are a new agent, you have to equate for learning curve. You are going to mess up. You are going to take on some really shit inventory in the beginning because that's all you can get, okay? All that type of stuff. Great example of that is Wesley again. Wesley did listings. I remember when he first got here, he goes, hey, can you drive down to Carlsbad with me? I'm like, mate, you are above me in the office in Aliso. He's like, I know, I just got a lead and I just want to take it. The gentleman he sold the Carlsbad property for, I believe gave him a listing up here in Newport or a referral up here that he ended up getting some more business out of. But he went everywhere. He was the lord of Murrieta, Temecula at one point. All right? But again, guys, you've got to make sure that there is a new agent learning curve if you are a new agent. Auction helps you make sure that you don't have that curve as much, but it's still there. Give you perspective, okay? Believe it or not, because we've broken down the Harcourts numbers, if you list a property, you have about a 40 to 50% chance of selling it. That is our ratio in Harcourts, okay? It is far, far higher than industry standard, by the way, unbelievably higher. But if you break your area down, you can figure this out, and this is part of the feasibility. For example, an area in San Diego, we've broken all of San Diego down before, okay, and at that time, the highest success rate of list to sale for a traditional property in a traditional marketplace, it was La Jolla, and it was 56%. And La Jolla was the hottest marketplace in the entirety of California, at the point that Justin Brennan did it, okay, he did all of this. So what I'm saying is, guys, I know that you might sell more than 50% of the stuff that you bring on the marketplace at the moment, yes. But if something turns or it gets a little stagnant, that will not be the case, I can assure you. Okay? So, understanding that you might, using a 50-50 ratio to make sure we're not putting ourselves in a false economy, in order to get 11 properties sold, okay, you need to list 22. So your number then becomes 22. If you incorporate auction into your business, using a 50-50 ratio on half of it, okay, half of your properties are auction, half are traditional. I've used an 80% list to sale ratio in auction because, hey, there's going to be some new learning curve there if you haven't done it before. To sell 11 properties, I need to list 18. If you are just an auction agent, to sell 11 properties, all you do need to do is list 14 properties. Which one would you rather do, folks? Work smarter, not harder. I'm not saying is all you need to do is list auctions. That is definitely not what I am saying. I'm saying that incorporating it into your business means you don't have to list as many. Those of you that have gone through the accreditation understand why that is. Because of the process that is run that conditions your inventory in order for it to then sell after if it doesn't sell before or on the day of auction. Okay? So incorporating that into your business is important to understand your number. Because again, guys, even though it's 11 properties, listing 22 properties is an unbelievable feat in 1 year if you are in a normal Southern California marketplace. Yeah? Maybe if you're in Reno, it's a little different. So now we take our numbers and we determine feasibility on a farm area. I will just steal your booklet for a second, sorry. Sorry guys, I haven't been referring to the pages. Steph has been following along, okay? Folks, we're at the bottom of page 12, but everything that we've gone through just recently is just obviously back a few pages as well. But we're at the bottom of page 12 in your work booklet. We'll get to your resource booklet soon. Guys, there's 12 questions here when picking a farm area that you need to go through and get these answers. And I'm going to go through the ideal answers with you shortly. However, these 12 questions, where do you get the information? You can get some of it from the MLS, but Property Radar has proven to be a very viable source here. PropertyRadar.com, okay? is a very good source in order to get some of this stuff. So, first of all, the agent's personal income goal. Second, average area price point, average age of a homeowner. We'll talk about that very shortly. That's a really critical point. Where and why are most people moving to after they sell in the area? Again, really good critical point. Number of homes in the area, average number of properties listed each year for the past 3 years, average number of properties sold each year for the past 3 years. Understanding the area's average list to sale ratio, okay, which is there, list to sale ratio each year for the past 3 years. Going back 3 years is important, guys. Okay, diversity of properties, single family home, condos, all that type of stuff. Average turnover of a property in the past 5 years. How long are people holding on to their assets? Okay, percentage of owner-occupied properties, and then competition agents and their current market share. That determines how hard you're going to have to work. So let's go through some of the ideal answers. Average price point, it doesn't matter. Okay, I just put $550 because that was our feasibility study. Average age of a homeowner. Let's go through that a little bit. Okay, I'm just going to steal your booklet for a moment. Folks, a breakdown of this is over onto page 13. Please no one take offense to what I'm about to go through. Okay, I'm just stating facts. If it's a younger group of people, you need to understand that you're not going to meet very many sellers at the open houses that you conduct, because it's a lower average sale price and it's usually first home buyers that are coming through the front door. Okay, so the people that are walking through your front door, do they have anything to sell? No. Okay, they might know people, that's your best way forward, but understanding that maybe open houses are not going to be a great source of where you find leads. Having somebody in a middle age bracket, the average age group is 43 years of age on average. This may not apply to here in the US, but that applied to me in my area. And the reason why is at 43, what do you normally have? Kids, older kids, okay? That may be changing now a little bit because people are having kids a little bit later, but you have older kids that are going into high school, into a different school zone, or excuse me, into a different area for school or whatever it is. This area here, okay, is important to make sure that while buyer side does exist, and that's a whole nother conversation, okay, if you sell someone's home, you can find them something as well within a certain area. Would you rather get two sides of a deal or one? Exactly. If you do auction, you've got almost a 50-50 chance of double-ending the deal. I would love 3 sides to a deal. List, sell, and the sell on the other side. Okay? So this is an ideal bracket. The other thing also, and again, this doesn't sound very politically correct, but I'm happy to bring it up, the older the demographic, okay, then the less likelihood that they're going to list with you, or because unfortunately a lot of people say, a lot of the time, I'm not leaving here, oh, you'll have to carry me out in the box, okay? I had a situation when I first got into real estate, and I'm grateful for it based on the fact that I figured that out very quickly. I'm not saying not be a nice person because that's what it's going to come across as. I would always stop and speak to this lady in the front yard. She'd be watering her grass and picking her flowers. She was an older lady. She passed away. Okay, I turned up with flowers at the lady's wake, like the thing after the funeral. Okay, the daughter and the son got really weird about it, like, who are you? And then I gave, my business card was attached there just for contact information. Like, are you really soliciting a listing where the lady's just died? Like, actually, I knew your mum. I'd stop and talk. No, get away from us. We're grieving, but it was really awkward. It's horrible. Okay, building the relationship with the wrong person. Obviously, I know that sounds terrible, guys, but be conscious of it. Okay, over 50 communities probably aren't the best place to go prospect. Okay, now, where are most people moving to after they are selling? Guys, this gives you a gauge of whether this area has problems. So what I mean is that you can tell where are people moving to after they sell, okay? Because again, you want to keep them in that farm area for future business. Does everyone know where Bear Brand is in Laguna Niguel? If you don't, okay, it's an area in Laguna Niguel, okay? It's a wonderful area, and the reason it's great, condos, so people first start off, okay? Then you've got an area over the other side of Golden Lantern or whatever it is, that's about $1.2 to $2 million roughly, okay? Then you've got a larger part that goes up to 3, 4, 5 million, and then you've got even further. Guys, you can spend your entire life within that community, okay? might not have enough property there to sustain it, but Marina Hills is another area that is the same, okay? However, what I'm saying is that there's a lot of opportunity there to be an area specialist and deal with the same people for 10, 15, 20 years, however long you believe that you're going to be in real estate, guys. Because if you're not taking a long-term approach to this and you want to get out of it within a few years, probably just stick to expired phone calls, okay? And that's not saying that it's a bad thing, it's just if you want to build up a residual part of the business, okay? Average number of homes in the area, the ideal answer for that is 900. Now the reason it's 900, okay, because that is very, very manageable. Anything 1,000 and above starts to stretch you really thin and you are less effective. It dilutes your effectiveness. Average number of properties listed each year for the past 3 years. This is the most important number out of everything. Because this determines whether my 11 is sustainable. Okay? This determines whether if I'm just doing traditional real estate, remember 11 turns into what? 22. If it's a 50-50 list to sale ratio. Okay? My 11 turns into 18 if I'm incorporating auction, and my 11 turns into 14 if I'm just doing auction. Okay? So they're my actual numbers. This is the most important part of the entire thing because this will determine your market share that you need to have. This determines whether or not this area is right for you. Average number of properties sold each year in the past 3 years, which gives you your list to sale ratio. Folks, across the board, you will not find an area with more than 500 to 700 homes, okay, that has a better list to sale ratio of between 30 and 50% in a balanced market. You've just got to come to terms with the factor that in most marketplaces, like Laguna Beach is a good example at the moment, it has an average list to sale ratio of 21%. Believe it or not. Because anything over $2 million is sitting for a huge period of days on the market. Does that make sense? Diversity of property, most single family homes. Average turnover of property. Make sure it's not more than 7 years. Hard for people to remember you and hard to continue a relationship for longer than 7 years. This is a great thing because again, Jess, remember the lady I told you about in Australia who'd wasted 4 years of her life? Petrie Terrace, on average, people would move on every 25 to 30 years. In some cases, they'll just leave it to the family and the family would keep it because it was a staple area. Okay? They didn't need real estate agents very often, did they? 7 years is about as long as you'd like. Okay? But it's also a wonderful thing to understand about your farm area because it produces this type of prospecting. Hi there, Ben Brady's my name. I'm from Harcourts Real Estate, your local area professional. Reason I'm knocking on your door just quickly, I'm sorry to intrude, but I realise that you've just passed your 6-year anniversary living in the home. Congratulations. How do you like living in the area? We love it. Okay, great. Just so you're aware, people usually move on every 7 years in this area. That is the average hold time of a property. Have you given any consideration to selling in the near future? No, we're quite happy here. Everything's great. No problem, that's fine. This is called provoking your marketplace. I know that I could make 30 contacts doing that and get 2 callbacks, okay, the next day. Because what happens, you speak to the wife or the husband, wife comes home, husband comes home. Hey honey, I had a real estate agent knock on my door today and say that the average time that people live here is 7 years. Can you believe we've been here 6 years? Oh no, maybe we should move on. Might have outwear our welcome. However, this is really important, guys, because provoking your marketplace, putting the thought of sale in their mind, because that's naturally what other people do. Okay? People are followers, most of them aren't leaders. Okay? Percentage of owner-occupied property, 50%. 55%. It can't be lower than 55%, guys. Otherwise, I've always found it very hard to build relationships with investors or people that. Sorry.
It's 11.
It's 11. What?
5.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay, thank you. All right, no worries. I'll just finish this part off and then we'll stop. Thank you. Thanks, Kathy. Then the other part is, this is the last bit and then we'll break, okay? If there are 3 agents, or if there are less than 3 agents with a collective market share of 35%. So if there are less than 3 agents or 3 or less agents in an area with a collective market share of 35%, you know it is going to be unbelievably hard to break into that area. Because these are the 3 agents, or usually you won't find an agent that has more than 12% market share regardless of how good they are. But if there's a collective market share of 3 or less agents with 35%, this area is going to be ridiculously hard to break into. Not impossible though. The area that I did had 4 agents, okay, with a collective market share of about 42%, okay, and that was a really hard area, but then I made a decision. How complacent were they? How long had they been there? Okay, and I went after it. And had 2 of them run out of there within little under 6 months because of just saturation and effort. But again, I lived, breathed, ate real estate. Okay? So guys, they're the ideal answers. Let's take a 10-minute break. What is the time now? It's 11:06. If you can come back at, let's say, 11:20, guys. Okay? Coffee out there. I know there's some bagels left. Everyone knows where the bathroom is, I hope.
Hey, did you hear anything about the first open house weekend out in Palm Desert?
There's one of the agents. Okay. There's one of the agents in San Diego. Why is that not working? I turned it on.
Which you said the 2 areas or 1 area in Laguna Niguel. What was the name of it again?
Bear Brand and Marina
Oh,
Hills.
Marina Hills. I don't know how to spell the other one.
Bear,
Like a bear?
Yeah, Bear Brand,
B-R-A-N-D.
B-R-A-N-D.
brand. Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
That's my
Thank
accent.
you so much.
No worries.
Because they said they only had 6 people come through.
Yeah, I know, but there's there's a seller that we have in San Diego that is going out to look at the property. She's auctioning her house at this auction coming, and there's a and then she's going out and having a look with them. Okay,
Okay.
yeah, I think we've connected her with Scott already.
Cool. Hey,
It is
so
cool.
I pulled these guys,
For what?
farms.
Yeah.
So I went and knocked this one. I got an appointment at 12:45 today.
Okay.
People across the street, they got 4 kids, it's a small house. They go, look, we can sell this one. We're looking for 900 to $1 million in Laguna Niguel. So I went out there, knocked it one time. Have an appointment today. Another person wants to sell, and I know that 3 husbands sadly just recently passed away. Wives are considering selling.
Cool.
It's 117 homes.
Wow.
And so I pulled a few areas over here that's about 1,000 about 1,000 properties all together. They're kind of all around here, but that came out to like 17 listings feasibility. So I want just to go over all that stuff with you.
Okay, we can do that after this.
Look at what this does. It gives you the map. It gives you the sales over the last 3 years.
What is it?
It's Farm Genie. I
Oh,
got
okay,
it
yeah,
from
yeah,
Ryan.
yeah.
So
That's cool.
There's a few hot ones. 14, 16, 10. All right. This one had 30 sales last year.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's pretty cool.
That's cool.
So this is what I told you, is like, hey, maybe you can help me go over these numbers. Once
Yeah,
I looked
yeah.
at them, and I sold one in here last year. 25 sales last year, 20 the year before, 25 the year before that.
It's good. It's consistent.
Yeah.
It's amazing how it's always consistent.
I thought that could be impossible. And for 5 years, I'm looking, there's 20, 30, 20.
Maybe you can bank on these numbers. All right.
starting Friday, but I just talked to Sherry about I'm not vacation yet, but I'm kind of trying to today. Am I okay to do
Yeah,
that?
fine, no problem.
Okay.
Fine, no problems, mate.
Okay,
You
so I just let her know.
let her know and she'll book you in.
Alright, perfect. Thank you.
Good deal, mate.
Lido Island guy. Called him. Called yesterday. Thursday. So I wanted to know, I'm not selling, but I do want to learn more about your auction stuff. I don't get your email. What do you mean to get your email? Well, here, send it to this one. So I sent it to him again. I sent him a text message. Now I'm calling, he's not answering. Just keep hammering him, right? He just says, I don't want to sell, but you remember that I was the auction guy. He goes, hey, I looked for your information. I didn't get it. He's
good.
Yeah. Yeah, that thing where you said if they say yes to you on your first 1, 2, 3 contacts, they're nuts. Man. Right.
Yeah.
That was a little bit of gold nugget.
Quite sure that there are more than 3 agents that are buying market share. And there's a ton of listers not selling.
To convince someone to go. Yeah. Yeah. I just don't think it might be a waste of time.
Yeah.
I think I'll just need to send it with both listers. But
That's very funny. I thought they were dead. What's doing? Oh, dude.
Sounds so different.
Wait, why don't we put it back in stock?
I've been out wearing out the soles of my shoes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
The phone's not very strong on the phone yet. I'm going for the morning, then I'm going knock in the afternoon.
Oh,
Some expired and then some local areas around where I live.
Okay.
Yeah. You got him right in front of you.
Yeah.
That's what we were talking about. That Michael Bay's like, this is the first one.
Yeah.
Yesterday I knocked on the room, and the guy walks out with his dog on a leash. The neighbor's getting back from the room with the dog on a leash. The dog just go out and
No way. Sorry.
And then the neighbor was arriving, opened her garage, and her dog came in and joined me. Oh, that was exciting. Yeah, but it's cool. You get to know people. I got 2 solid weeks out of it. So,
Yeah, mate.
Never works for you.
you just gotta keep getting further.
Well, hang on. Go back to Brett and ask him how much he paid.
Do you cut your hair again?
Really?
It's a lot shorter than I wanted it to be, but hey. Exactly.
That's very politically correct.
Short is more manageable.
Let me call you after the session and I'll talk to you about it. See you, buddy.
Ever since she was able to talk me out of doing it.
A few more minutes, guys, and then we'll get started.
Hey, so,
Imagine that.
so six was pretty poor traffic, right?
No, not there. Hell no. No.
Good.
Strong.
Good over there?
Never
Never
done
again.
it again, yeah.
It looked really cute on her though. I had pictures.
Yeah, normal to my mom who has to love me. Maybe like 5. Yeah. Well, I was in my 30s. The teacher had to stop the class and be like, stop making fun of Brenda for her hair.
Oh,
I'm not
no.
kidding. So the teacher was like,
Kids are brutal.
the teacher had to stop the
The
kids.
kids.
The teacher had to run interference.
Oh.
Hey, you live and you learn.
Well, no, the short hair actually suits your face though. Like some people it doesn't look good on, you know?
Thank you.
So it's really good.
What? Sounds like you got it on fast.
I said nothing.
I know.
All I was thinking, I just took it faith. It was faith to make.
No, I think I was significant and ended badly. Absolutely.
Seldom memory of that problem.
No, I've always been used to my sphere, which is low rejection and pushback.
Right.
I gotta get used to this rejection. Now, there's this guy that I called, and I started doing the mirror matching. I don't want to sell my house. I'm like, I know, that's why I called you. Took it off the market, right? And I said, and so I met him there, so he kind of came back, and I said, well, I don't want to auction off my house. I'm like, I know nobody does. Why would you? But what if we can get you your price? He's like,
Yeah, exactly.
so would that be worth listening to me? Sent him an email. Call him. Never replied. Call him yesterday. Oh, yeah, I want to know. I don't want to sell my house, but I want to know about the auction. I didn't get your email. So he remembered.
So he even called you
Yeah.
back?
No, he didn't call me back. I called
Oh,
him.
you called him.
Yeah, but he says, I looked for your email, I didn't get it.
Yeah, but he remembered you.
And I'm like, well, I got this exciting email. No, send it to this Yahoo. And I sent it to him. And I sent it to him via text. So I know he got it. Not taking my call. But I know where he lives. And he remembered, this is the auction guy. So it's just so different than what I'm used to.
That's good though.
Yeah, but what Ben said, like, they're crazy if they
Say
list
yes.
with you first time.
Really?
Have you been doing open houses for them? Or not really?
I haven't been able to find
Any?
recent one. The one that I did in Newport Beach 2 weeks ago. And nobody showed up.
Which one did you do? Priscilla? Brendan did it too and no one showed up.
I know.
I did it Saturday, I did it Sunday. Nobody
And the
showed up.
whole weekend, not one person on both days. Oh, it's not good.
That's so did you so did
And the owner on the way is $100,000 less, and it's at least livable.
Well, that one just came on too right after, like the week that you guys did that, right?
Yeah. So, but I mean, it's just, I think the price is way high. It's not a good traffic driver. Like, people aren't gonna come look at just out of curiosity like those crazy auction properties.
Right. Well, especially since that other one came on, right?
Yeah. Which priced $100,000 lower, and it looks better. So does the intermittent fasting work?
So that again, mate?
Does the intermittent fasting?
Is that what you're doing?
So, oh yeah, I was. I broke my fast a little bit early today, so I was starving after this morning. After this morning's workout at the gym, and yeah, I don't know. I don't think so.
I've heard 3 people that did it or tried it. You being one of them.
It's kind of much and muches, to be honest, because then you eat so heavily at the end of the day. You're like, just eat.
Yeah.
You just, I don't know.
Well, what I know that works for me is stop eating around 7.
Oh yeah.
Because when you eat at night, when you sleep, I know that I lose weight when I sleep. But if I go to bed with a full stomach, I don't lose weight. So if I stop eating at 7 and then I wake up and I go do a fasted workout.
Yeah, fasted cardio and fasted HIIT is the best way to lose weight. Just got to manage yourself when you get up, when you want to have breakfast stuff. Because I used to have a really big breakfast, and then I'd have smaller meals during the day. I'm really bad though. My nighttime eating is absolutely horrible. I'm such a sweet person and all that kind of stuff. It just
You're not a sweet person. You like sweets.
Thank you. That's right. But I have to make sure Calista doesn't buy anything at all that I will eat at night. I literally have to make sure, like it's like rations. If you came to our house and you're like, wow, Ben is really struggling right now financially because there's just nothing. Don't have anything in the house. Like literally, one time I went and had a glass of milk later at night because I was just so hungry. I'm just like, why? Just go back to sleep. Anyway. Okay, folks, let's roll. Put those phones away for me again. That'll be great. I'll turn off the 80s music or 90s music. I had a text message from Reno. Shout out to Cal who's watching, and he goes, after you finish playing this crap music, can you call me? I'm thinking, oh, he can see us. He's like, I didn't even know Nickelback was still alive. Okay, so guys, we've gone through your ideal feasibility for a farm area. Understanding also is that a greater than 15% market share, as I've already spoken about with the number of properties between 5 and 700, is a huge achievement. Can your business sustain in this individual area? Does the area produce enough business for you to have roughly, at your best, between 8 and 10% market share? Can you sustain the numbers that you ultimately want? Okay? And this is where most of you fall over. This is where that delusion of grandeur is in place of, I'm going to have 20, 30, 40, 50%. Okay? Making sure that there's nothing wrong with disappointing yourself with numbers, guys. Because you can always exceed them. You can always prove me wrong. Please, I'd love to be proved wrong. Okay? But this is the average. So, going to this. Based on, let's use the area, the ideal area. It has 85 listings, remember? Do you remember that number? It lists 85 properties on average every year for the past 3 years. 85 was the average. Okay, and our numbers that we need to achieve in respect to listings in that area, okay, remember to sell 11, 50% traditionally, 18 auction if you're incorporating it, 14, okay, so 22, 18, and 14. They're the listings that it needs to produce for me depending on what type of business that I am running, okay? So if I need 22 listings out of an area that does 85 listings a year, that's 25.8% market share. Is that sustainable? No. If I have 18, 21.1. If I have 14, even as just an auction agent, 16.4%. That would be a remarkable achievement. So this is where I need to determine, if I need that amount of numbers, is that area ideal for me? You need to do one of two things. You need to increase your capacity, okay, of properties, but remember, any more than 900 will dilute your effectiveness, dilute the perception that you need of listing and selling everything? Or do I choose an entirely different area? It takes guts to change that area, okay? It does take guts to change the area. Can everybody see what I'm doing here and what we've done over the past few hours in respect to understanding your number? Does that make sense to anybody? Does anyone have any particular questions on this stuff?
It makes sense, but so you said we can find these numbers at this. I mean, that seems the hardest part, is finding it really.
Finding the numbers. Felipe just was showing me some of the area statistics that he's got. What was that program you were using, mate?
I was a farm genie.
Because mate, this is like the 4th time you've gone through my prospecting class, right?
Right.
Okay, and you've done you've done your analysis on a lot of different areas to find out what's going on. Property Radar is one source that I said before. Farm Genie, which one? You've used both of them, haven't you?
I haven't used the radar.
Okay, so you found this one to give you most of what I've asked for?
Right.
Yep. So Farm Genie through First American, right? Okay. So guys, I'm just handing something out to you just now. I'm just handing something out to you now, which is finding out what your number is. It says we'll do an activity where you'll do it, but that's boring. Okay? It's annoying and slow. So, guys, this you can do it in your own time if you're actually interested in doing it, okay? Because a lot of people don't leave here and then have the smartest book sitting in their top desk and they don't, top drawer of their desk and they don't use it. So I don't want to bore anybody that actually doesn't want to do this type of stuff, okay? But this is just a little bit of a strategy. Remember that formula that I showed you before to find out what your net commission income goal was? Okay, this is just a little bit of an activity that you can take away and you can do if you're interested in actually doing it to find out what actually is your number. All right. Getting started in your farm area. So you've chosen your farm area, you've picked it, you know that it's going to sustain the numbers that you need to produce in order to make the income that you want in net commission income. Guys, don't fall into the trap to be like most real estate agents that I've met everywhere in the world. By the way, this is a problem. My second job that I have outside of real estate is a tax accountant, apparently, because I hear about real estate agents' tax problems all the bloody time, okay? Because we have a tendency to live deal to deal and spend every single cent going, oh, well, I'll get another commission, I'll pay that tax bill, okay? It's the same everywhere in the world. Make sure you're dealing in net commission income, folks, so that then you could potentially evaporate that problem. However, you've chosen the farm area. How do we get started? How do we have that perception of listing and selling everything? I don't like the saying, when you think of real estate, think of me. I don't like that saying. The reason why is it's not results driven enough. The only way that people are going to think of real estate and then think of you is if you're selling things. Okay? Perception of listing and selling everything is if there was ever something that I was ever going to get tattooed behind my eyelids, that would be it. Because that is all I need to know when I'm prospecting. Is this working towards the perception of me listing and selling everything in that area? A great example of this is a gentleman by the name of Colin Walsh. He works for Ray White in Brisbane, Queensland, Australia, where I used to live. And Calista and I used to live was in downtown, like right in the heart of Brisbane CBD, okay, Central Business District. Anyway, I left, and obviously I like to stay a little bit focused on the fact that we have a property there. I like to know what's going on, of course, okay? Colin Walsh had just started Ray White at the time. I didn't even know who he was. Ray White is the competing brand to us, being Harcourts in Australia and New Zealand. So we just started there. Now, Harcourts doesn't have a presence in the inner city because usually the downtown offices don't do very well because they're very hard to prospect and it's very flighty and it's strange. However, Colin started sending me an email when I moved here. All it was an email full of the list of every property that's sold in the downtown area. All it would say, hey Ben, just thought you'd be interested in this, and it'd be a long list of properties. Now, typically, I'm very good at having a bullshit radar with real estate, but I was over here, I wasn't really focused on what my place was doing there. And I called Mitch, who was a good friend of mine who lives over there, and he was working for me at the time, doing what I used to do. And I called him and I said, mate, what's this Colin Walsh's deal? He's doing pretty well. I don't even know who he is. Now, coming from a marketplace where I knew every single real estate agent, I don't even know who he is. He seems to be killing it. He's like, Mitch, he goes, I don't even know who he is either. All right, okay, fine, I'll keep an eye on him. I'm like, okay. Another month goes past, get another email. Another month goes past, get another email. He just kept sending me the list of everything that was selling in the downtown area. I eventually called Mitch, and it came up one day because I just got the email. I'm like, hey, this guy's crushing it. We need to try and recruit him, find out who he is. So Mitch calls his business owner. Just goes, hey, Colin Walsh, I bumped into him, a new guy in your office. He's like, yeah, he goes, he's going really, really well, isn't he? He goes, what are you talking about? Colin hasn't sold a house in 4 months. Nothing. And I'm like, he calls me back and goes, oh, how did we not pick this up? Like, because we teach it, we've done it, all that type of stuff. Now, it's been 4 years in May since I've been here. Guess who's the #1 listing agent and selling agent in downtown Brisbane? Colin Walsh. He does $4 million in GCI. In 4 years, that's a pretty spectacular effort. And off the back of, he spoke at a real estate conference I was at last year. And literally, it was the worst speech I've ever heard, speaker I've ever heard in my life, because he told everybody that that was the catalyst to him being successful and had nothing else to say about it. Literally, for an hour, he just talked about his emails. It was horrible, okay? However, having the perception of listing and selling everything, or selling and listing everything, is a very, very important and crucial part to you creating the perception into reality. Getting sellers to feel comfortable with you. So this is how we achieve that, okay? Understanding that your environment in a farm area is a give-and-take environment. One of the examples that I give you in your booklet, if I'm going to steal this one for a second, is a great example of it is on page, 18. If you were to knock on somebody's door and say to them, are you looking at selling? What would be the answer most of the time?
No.
No. So folks, understanding that your farm area, there is no instant gratification that comes out of prospecting in your farm area correctly. It is a give-take environment. You have to give in order to take once. For example, the other example is a script just down here. It won't be exactly the same because I won't read it, but imagine knocking on somebody's door and just simply saying, hi there, it's Ben Brady from Harcourts Real Estate just down the road. I'm your local area professional. I'm just giving you a quick knock on the door to let you know that 38 Smith Street sold. It's just around the corner from you. It sold for $550,000. It's a 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom, and it was roughly about 2,800 square feet in size. Now, there were 22 groups of people that went through that property in the first few weeks, and I know that there's obviously one person that can buy a property, so that still leaves 21 groups of people that are still interested in buying something in this particular neighbourhood. Do you know of anybody that's looking at selling in the near future? An indirect way of asking them, obviously, at the end, okay, because you don't want to say, are you selling? It's kind of creepy, okay? However, an indirect way, a less intrusive way of doing so, but again, provoking the marketplace. Now, guess what? You didn't have to sell that home in order to knock on their door and tell them, do you? You do not have to do it, because not once did I claim that result as my own. I gave them general information that you can obtain from calling the agent, or is public, readily available information. Okay? We'll talk about more script shortly. Now, prospecting versus pipeline prospecting, guys. Remember the thing that I said at the beginning of this session is that everybody is a seller. It is a matter of when. Yep. Time. Or situation. Now prospecting is expired, for sale by owner. Hard prospecting, isn't it? But it still is absolutely necessary to growing your business. Now prospecting are the people that want to sell right now. They're thinking of real estate. That's what's happening. Pipeline prospecting, okay, is what allows you to eventually become a lazy realtor, a horrible realtor. Because, guys, one thing we've just closed our highest auction ever with Mr. Bob Wolf and Chad and Justin for $11.75 million. It's closing as we speak, okay, in Ritz Cove. Now, interestingly enough, Mr. Wolf is a big pipeline man, isn't he? Because he's been doing it for 30-odd plus years in this area, correct? Mm-hmm. But Mr. Wolf, and I tell him this, he doesn't believe it, of course, but I still believe Bob's technical ability as a listing presenter and everything like that isn't outstanding. It is not, okay? Why? Bob doesn't have to compete for business most of the time because his pipeline is so amazing. People do this. Instead of, Bob, we're getting a few people over to tell us about what our options are in real estate. Can you come over? No, it's more like, hey Bob, I'm selling the house. Can you come over? Bob doesn't need to do a listing presentation. His presentation is what is going to happen from here on in after you sign. Now, eventually you can build that up. But unless you worked as hard as that man has over that many years, you still have to do some form of now prospecting. Okay? It's interesting. Bob has every right to be self-entitled, but he really isn't. Okay? He will still work as hard as anybody else here, but all of his business comes from him from referral and repeat. Now, again, you are not allowed to do referral and repeat business. I hate when an agent that doesn't write over $1 million in GCI, okay, says to me, I only work off referrals. That is a recipe for absolute disaster and an excuse not to do now prospecting. That is all it is. Okay? So, what are the ratios? How much expired listing and hard prospecting do you have to do? And how much nurturing of your pipeline do you have to do? Nurturing of your pipeline is calling them and giving them information and touching base with them on a monthly basis. Ask them if they need a health check on the value of their property. All that stuff that keeps you in contact with them. Now prospecting, as I mentioned, is the expired, the door knocking, the working the area, trying to find that now stuff, the open houses, all of that stuff that is there. Dealing with the community that is already thinking real estate. If you're a new agent with no pipeline leads, 50% now, 50% pipeline. Working on meeting people at open houses, putting them into your database that aren't even considering selling, getting their information. Now, what is the definition of a pipeline lead, guys? A pipeline prospecting lead is when you have their name, their phone number, their address. There are the 3 criteria. There's one more. If I called them as a perfectly good stranger and asked them, do you know Felipe Benavides? They have to be able to tell me you're a real estate agent. They cannot go in your pipeline if they do not know you. They can go in your pipeline as a brand new lead, a green pipeline lead that you want to nurture and eventually get them to know you, but they can't drop down into your pipeline future prospects without me being able to call them a perfectly good stranger and saying, hey, do you know who Kathy Clark is? Oh yeah, she's a realtor. Fair enough? That is the definition of a pipeline lead. Because guys, I can get you a whole list of names and numbers and you can feed it into your database, but if they have no clue who you are, that is not pipeline. Make sense? Okay? So, an agent with 50 pipeline leads, good solid leads, pipeline, they know who you are, 40% now, 60% pipeline. Agent with 100 pipeline leads, 30% now, 70% pipeline. You get the hint, don't you guys? Okay? But what I'm going to share with you next is something that we've looked over 100 times because I think it's really important. I came to the notion years ago that nothing is passive in real estate if you're in sales. You have to keep working to make money, yeah? If we got hit by a bus tomorrow, okay, we wouldn't make any money. Fair enough? To have a truly passive business, Bob could sell his future business. What do I mean by that? Let's say Bob goes tomorrow, I'm going to retire. Cool. It's never going to happen, but still Bob's going to say, I'm going to slow down. He says that at the end of every year that I've known him. Okay? Either way, Bob goes, yep, going to slow down, going to retire. He stops tomorrow. I guarantee you that he would still get 2, 3, 4, 5 phone calls a week going, hey Bob, need your help with real estate. So what Bob gets to do then is refer it back out to an agent of his choice at a 25% referral fee or whatever he chooses to do. That is passive income, folks. Okay? Another passive part of income was me being able to sell my database. When I got out of real estate and went into management of our 5 offices, well, our 3 offices at the time, okay, I went into the management of it. I sold my database to Isaac Nguyen, who was a gentleman who worked for me at the time. Isaac, without nurturing the database, did $375,000 in GCI that year just out of the database, without touching it, doing really anything, okay? Then he lost it because he never nurtured it. So again, that is passive income, folks, when it can produce without you there. And that's what you will get. roughly your pipeline will produce 10% a year. So if you have 200 good, strong pipeline leads, you will get 20 odd real estate transactions out of that. Okay? It'd be great to know that that's the plan at the beginning of the year if you've got a good, strong, nurtured pipeline. Prospecting around other agents' listings, having a rollout plan. Sorry, I jumped a slide there. When you prospect around other agents' listings, this is the chance that you've got. Hands up in the room if you've got a listing at the moment. Okay, so not a lot of people, right? Because real estate works that way. So how do you prospect and have the perception of listing and selling everything when you don't list and sell everything in an area? How do you do that? Okay? Just excuse Emily, she's the paparazzi here, okay? Also world champion of ping pong for the Harcourts office. Yeah, for the record, okay? So how do you do it when you've got no listings and no results? You use other agents' listings and results, guys. So let's talk about the rollout plan. And I'm gonna use this booklet here for a moment, if you don't mind, mate. I want you to go over to page 21. And we're going to talk about the rollout plan and we're going to talk about the scripts. So guys, one of the things that I used to do or used to have in my office, because I obsessed over my farm area. When I mean I obsessed, I personally took it I took it very personally when someone would list with someone else but me. But I would take it even more personally and want to jump off the bridge if I didn't even get a phone call. That hit me harder than anything. It was great though, because every time it would happen, I would reflect, what am I not doing? It would fire me up a little bit more. But what I had was, imagine this wall here where the clock is. I had it wallpapered with an aerial view of my farm area. And I had a simple pin system, okay? Green was for my listings, red was for other agents' listings, yellow were for pipeline leads, and blue were for tenanted properties. I didn't like knocking on tenanted properties' doors. I didn't like focusing on them, okay? So I had an aerial view of it and I could absolutely obsess over it. You guys could ask me about a street and I could name the houses on each individual side and what they look like and what their garden was, what their driveway looked like, what cars normally parked out the front, okay? Because I'd also drive that area at least once a week to see if there was any differences. Do you know what red chip bark is that people put in the gardens? You know what that is? Mm-hmm. That is a pure sign. It is a red flag for me and a bull running at it. Why are you doing your gardens up? Are you looking at selling? You're selling. You know those skip bins that you can get, those big bins that they put out when you throw your crap in? Why are you cleaning up? Okay? Red flag for me. So I'd always drive through. Okay? One of the other things I do, the only prospecting I would do for investors is that, you know how like most of the time tenants let the yard get a little bit out of overgrown, if you like. Okay? I used to have a guy that would go and mow the lawn out the front for me for $30 odd, I think it was. Okay? So I used to do that for tenanted properties in the area. I just noticed the tenants weren't keeping the yard up, so we just got it fixed up for you and just send them a before and after photo to the investor. The other thing I'd also do, you know how you know when a home is vacant and it gets all that junk mail in the letterbox and you can tell? I used to get my assistant to go by and drive the streets, pick up all that junk mail. It's all crap, obviously, but we'd put it in a big envelope and we'd send it to them. And just say, hey, just wanted to let you know the mailbox was full and just wanted to send you the information. By the way, local realtor, What are you doing with the property? Okay? It's just another thing that they were the only real things that I did for investor stuff. Okay? However, driving that area and understanding and knowing every move in that area allowed me to do one thing. I had a routine. Every morning I would get into the office, the ladies had printed out my stuff for me. Now this is easy for you to do. Through our MLS system, we don't have an MLS, but what you would call MLS, every new listing that came on in my area would be printed out and on my desk. Every property that went pending would be printed out and put on my desk, okay? Every property that closed would be printed out and put on my desk, okay? Every morning it would be there before I got in. And it was my job to physically update my board. Update every property, update where it was, update the new listing so I knew everything and where it was, what house it was, all that type of stuff. But it also gave me the ability to do a quick health check and audit of my business by just simply looking at it. Good example? Oh wow, I actually am getting a lot of yellow up on my board. I've got a good pipeline growing, but it's a little bit weak. in the northeast corridor of my area. So I need to probably focus there a little bit more in respect to prospecting. Okay? Oh God, I don't have a lot of green up there, which is my listings. There's a lot of red. Why am I missing out on opportunities? Every time I'd put a red pin there, which is another agent's listing, and that appointment wasn't in my calendar, good hard look in the mirror about what I'm doing. Okay? Being conscious of not being called into an area means that you are not the area expert yet. Okay? Now, to become that area expert, after I would pin the red dot or pin the green dot, which is mine, I would run this rollout plan. The dates would then be put into my calendar. Okay? For example, within 48 hours, I would go and do a door knock in that actual street of that listing. Okay? Your scripts are just here, guys, on page 21 for that. I'm going to steal this for a second, mate, if you don't mind. Okay, so the property's listed. Right? New listing comes on the market, I go and knock on the door. Hi, my name's Ben Brady, your area professional with Harcourts Real Estate just down the road. I wanted to quickly let you know that 25 Smith Street, just around the corner, has been put on the market for $575,000. It's a 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom, and around 2,800 square feet. Just wanted to keep everybody up to date with what the market is doing in the area. Thanks, and remember, it's Ben Brady from Harcourts. Now, you guys are all thinking it, but there's an answer to it down the bottom. I've never, ever, ever had someone say this to me. I just want to make full disclosure, but I've put it there to put all your minds at ease. What if the person that you knock on the door goes, well, hang on, that's John Smith from ABC Real Estate's listing, isn't it? Okay? I would then follow it up with, yes, it is. But because I'm your area professional, I like to keep everybody up to date with what properties movements is in the area at the moment. Did John knock on your door and let you know? No, he didn't. Thought so, because he's a loser. Don't say that part. Okay? But either way, it's interesting, guys, how real estate and prospecting is viewed very, very differently here in the US versus where I'm from. Where I'm from, there is no buyer side. I do not need cooperation from a buyer's agent. So, for example, who's ever had coffee with another agent, or whoever's had a nice conversation with another agent from another company? It doesn't happen in Australia. It is real estate warfare. Okay? You see another person walking down the other side of the street, you're trying to run them over in a car. Okay? It is complete real estate warfare because there is only one form of making money, which is listing. I don't need their cooperation at all. Okay? That is a very different approach with your prospecting as well, guys. Taking it to heart that they've called somebody in rather than, oh, he's a nice guy, allows you to have a different mentality with making sure that you use their results as well to make you, to benefit from you. Okay? Next part. Let's say your first open house is advertised. Knock, knock, knock. Hi guys, it's Ben Brady from Harcourts Real Estate here again. I wanted to let you know that the property I knocked on the door about the other day, 38 Smith Street, is actually having its first open from 12 till 6 o'clock, because they usually do such long open houses. 12 till 6 o'clock on Saturday. Have you ever seen the property? Oh no, we haven't. Would you like me to register your name at the front door so you can go by and have a look? Oh no, we're fine, that's okay. All right, no problems, just wanted to keep you up to date with what's going on in the area. Thanks very much. Remember Ben Brady from Harcourts. Goodbye. Can you get the point, guys? Next part. This is absolutely perfect. I'm going to call the other agent. Felipe, you're going to be the other agent. Okay? Ring, ring, ring.
Yeah, hello.
Hi Felipe, it's Ben Brady from Harcourts. How you doing?
I'm doing great.
Great. Just wanted to call up about that listing that you got, 38 Smith Street.
Oh yeah, do you have a buyer?
No, I don't have a buyer at the moment. I'm just staying up to date with what's going on in the area though. How was the open house on the weekend?
Actually, I didn't do it. But
Oh,
it was
okay.
pretty busy.
Do you know the result of the open house at least?
Yeah, 10 people can buy.
Okay. Anyone interested?
Maybe. No
Okay.
offers yet.
Cool, no problem. So 1 or 2 may be interested? Okay, great. Thanks very much. I just wanted to check in.
Cool. Thanks.
First of all, Felipe's told me that he hasn't done the appointment. All the script is in your book, by the way, guys. Okay? He's told me he doesn't do his open houses. Oh my God, I'm going to crush you in the next listing appointment that you are in with me, against me. Because you don't do your own opens and you can't even tell me about the groups. Okay? Secondly, I use that information. Hi there, it's Ben Brady from Harcourts Real Estate again. I'm sorry to keep bothering you, and yes, this is the same tie. It's actually a corporate tie. Okay, and we wear it every day. Now, wanted to let you know the property at 38 Smith Street, through the open house, had 10 groups of people through. 2 people are showing interest. What that leaves is 8 groups of people that are still interested in purchasing in this neighbourhood particularly. You wouldn't happen to know anybody that's looking at selling any time in the near future, would you? No. We Yeah. So, same applies. When the property goes into escrow, when the property has a price reduction, when the property closes. When the property goes into escrow, this is a great follow-up, okay? Knock, knock, knock. Hi guys, just want to let you know that 38 Smith Street went into escrow. Unfortunately, can't disclose the price to you yet because it's not public information. But would you like me to knock on your door and let you know what it actually sells for once the property is closed? Is that okay with you? Sure, absolutely, great, excellent. Gives you an excuse to go back. Then when you go back, Mr. Seller, hi, it's Ben Brady from Harcourts. Just wanted to let you know that 38 Smith Street actually closed for $550,000. Now, just so you're aware, this may have altered values in the neighbourhood itself. What I do offer is a free, no obligation opportunity for me to come in and do a quick health check of your property. You might not even be considering selling whatsoever, but it's probably handy for me to pop by, give you a report on what else is sold and what your home might be valued at. Okay? So guys, this on every listing that goes through, on your listing, will give you the perception of listing and selling everything. But this is only verbal. All it is verbal communication. The retention of people's information might not be that great. How do you solidify it every month? Okay? Sorry, excuse me, I keep doing that, jumping over. Is with an area, a market snapshot, an area snapshot. I want you to refer to your resource booklet, the other booklet that you haven't opened. Okay? I want you to open it up for me. Now, you'll get a page where there's a bow on the front door where it says market snapshot. Okay? So, market snapshot, Harcourts office name. Guys, you will get a link after this presentation because you've signed in, obviously, with all of this stuff in there. If you've already done the auction accreditation, that is the same link. If you don't have it, we'll resend it out to the class. Okay? This template is in there for you to change, to add your information, to do whatever you like with it. But this is the report that I would then send out every single month. Notice what it is. Flip over the next page for me, Doug. Go to the next page where there's the photo down the bottom. Total sales, 106 for the area. Okay? Properties on the market, 201. Okay? What I'm trying to go through here is I'm using the entire area's numbers in order to make me look like I do a lot more business. The more business I do, the more credibility I have, the more opportunity I will have to get in the front door. Now it gives you the averages of the single family and condo, highest single family condo, lowest single family condo, okay? Going over to the page now where it's just a list of the properties, guys. Notice that you're not restricting any information. The thing that pisses me off to no extent is when I go to my letterbox and I pull out a flyer that says sold with no number on it. I'm never calling that agent just simply out of spite because you're trying to hold back information so that I have to talk to you. No, thank you. I will call you if I want to speak to you, okay, about anything else but this. I just want to know the information. Don't hold back any information to try and get a phone call out of them, guys. Because remember, you're the area expert. You're giving information free. There is no give-take in this. It is just simply give. So you can go through property address, you know, postcode is changed in your report, by the way, guys, it says zip code. Okay, type of house, bedroom, bathroom, car, square feet, sale price, sale date. Turn over the page, guys, and that it just continues on. And that is all it is. Remember the emails that Colin Walsh used to send to me. Colin Walsh is now the #1 listing agent in downtown Brisbane, $4 million GCI. He spoke at one of the biggest real estate conferences in the world, and it was the most boring thing I've ever heard in my life because all he said is that he sent an email with the list of properties that had sold in that area to all of the homeowners. That is that report that will make you and solidify all of your actions. It will solidify this. Everything that you've been reporting on, it will solidify that. You haven't claimed that they're yours. You haven't done anything like that. There is also a legal disclaimer on it that we put on there that we've had our attorneys do also so that you guys feel comfortable with it, okay, and handing it out. However, it's important to do the market snapshot to give your perception again of dominating that marketplace. A good example, I know Louise. Louise does no business or whatsoever, but she sends this out religiously, okay? And she just received her first platinum award. Okay? Platinum is a different, it's actually 300,000 in GCI for the quarter. Okay, and she went from nothing to platinum all of a sudden. Unbelievable, okay, because of this report. Now, I'll talk about expired listings in a second, but can everybody see the purpose of that? Can everybody see how it is this simplest system? When a new property is listed, you get notified. When a new property goes pending, you get notified. When a property closes, you get notified. Okay? So that then you can inform the neighbourhood about it. The more you communicate with them, the more you're going to be the area expert, the more opportunity you have then to get called in for listing appointments. The more listing appointments you do, the more opportunity you have to list property. The more listings you have, the more opportunity you have to sell them. The more listings you have, the more opportunity you have to get the next ones. That is the most simplest prospecting system, and the reason why it is simple is because if it was complicated, I wouldn't do it. And I never would have done it if it was hard. People ask me all the time, I'll come to you in a second, people ask me all the time, did you ever take handouts with you when you did the door knocks? No. Why did I not take handouts? Because I never wanted an excuse that if my assistant or I forgot to print out stuff, oh, I won't go door knock today because I don't have my handouts. No, it just needed to be simple, and they needed to remember me, not the handout. Question?
Yeah, just looking at those numbers, frankly, it seems unmanageable. I'm going through my head, like, how many days a week is he actually door knocking? What's that time slot? How's he following up with these folks effectively? To follow that point by point, it almost sounds undoable.
Remember this area that we've chosen, on average you have about a 10 to 12% turnover in your area of a homes between 900 and 1,000, 85 listings. Out of that, only 40 of them sell, so you're not doing it for all of them, okay? But the reality is that it's 85 times a year. It's pretty manageable. I can assure you it's manageable. Okay, 85 is easy to do. Because my question to you is, what are you doing after you leave here? If you're a real estate agent, you should be prospecting. People ask me all the time, how many doors should I knock? When's your next appointment that's real estate related? Keep going. That's the thing, guys. If you're doing this as a full-time job, 85, you want more because you're sitting there twiddling your thumbs half of the day. If that makes sense. Okay? It is very, very manageable when you start doing it. The thing that is hard to manage is how aware you are of it all. How you set it up in the beginning. Okay? Ryan Raphael can help you, who is our title guy. Ryan can help you get an aerial view of your farm area. Get it printed on some foam core board from FedEx. It'll cost you $300, $400, $500 maybe, okay? Then you can pin your pins in it and have an aerial view of your area. I think there's a digital version of it as well. I don't know what version it is. I know there is a digital version, I just don't know the name of it, where you can do it on the computer and pin the stuff in certain ways, okay, of your farm area. But it's just how much you want to do it. It really is. Because that right there, if you use that as your full-time job, getting commission checks just becomes a byproduct of that. And that's the way you need to see it. Okay? So, let's talk about our other form of prospecting, expired and for sale by owners. Now, this is a very auction-orientated part of the session. One thing that I commonly hear people say to me when they're prospecting is that they don't use the word auction because people don't like it. Guys, if you are calling expireds or for sale by owners, the reason that you are calling them is because they haven't sold their home, because if it was pending, you wouldn't be making the phone call, would you? Okay? So, please, do me a favour, use auction very, very early on in that call. We're going to go to the scripts very shortly and we're going to talk about them. Okay? But use auction. Use that word. It's a dirty word, yes it is. Okay? But it gets people's attention. Imagine if you called up, and excuse my language for a minute, imagine if you made an expired call and said, how the fuck are you going? Do you think that they would all of a sudden go, beg your pardon, what? What did you say? It's the same thing when you say auction almost, folks. Okay? Hard thing to sort of correlate with, but either way, use the word auction. Sorry, I'm not in distressed, or I don't need auction. What do you mean auction? Isn't that for distressed properties? No, auction doesn't sound like a good opportunity. Okay? Whatever they do say, it is a point of difference because they've had 30 other people call them that day and they've all just said, you know, whatever Mike Ferry tells them to say or Tom Ferry says. But guys, don't get me wrong. I am all about what Tom Ferry and Mike Ferry say. Yes, make the bloody calls. Okay? But maybe there might be a little bit more of an effective way to have it because you right now are the only agents that can use the word auction. Okay? So again, it has a high level of point of difference. So for example, one of the things that you can get involved with in an expired phone call, which I do not suggest, or a for sale by owner conversation or door knock, is when they start asking you questions over the phone. Who's ever had them ask, well, what's your commission rate? Or, you know, tell me more about this auction thing, or tell me whatever it is. If there are more questions there, you need to use it. And this is my line that I would normally use. With all due respect, a simple 5-minute discussion would not do me or the process justice. I'm in the area giving you the same information to another homeowner on Wednesday at 5 p.m. so I could be at your place at 6. This is a part of the process where we talk about a direct line of questioning in your script, and I'm going to talk to you about that shortly. Too often we are too indirect. For example, we either close really, really hard and too hard in the listing presentation, or we don't close at all because we're scared of what they're going to say. The happy medium between that is called a direct line of questioning. I had the pleasure of going to one of Australia's best performing call centres by a long, long way. The gentleman, I knew him at the time, and I got to go there. You will sit at about a 20 to 25% success rate of people that you speak to with setting an appointment on cold calling. That is the rule of thumb for the industry, okay? This company would sit between a 35 to 40% success rate. Still not great, but it was still awesome in comparison to industry standards. Why? Because they started to use a direct line of questioning. Let me give you an example. Ring, ring, ring. Hi there, Mr. and Mrs. Seller. I'm da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Would it be okay if I pop by and give you some information? What are they going to say? No. Exactly. Whereas if you use a direct line of questioning, da-da-da-da-da-da, you have the conversation. Look, I'm giving some more information on Wednesday night at 5 p.m. to another party. I'll pop by your place at 6 o'clock. I'm looking forward to seeing you then. Now, does it take guts to do that? Yes. Okay, it's quite awkward. But guys, it's again that routine thing that I spoke about. If you do a lot of this stuff and you do that, you'll have better cut through, you'll have better success because it is a direct line of questioning. Now, are you lying? Because I don't ask you to lie, but are you lying if you're saying I'm dropping some stuff off at Wednesday at 5 p.m. to another homeowner in the area? Yes, you are. If you're not, so do me a favor. If you want to live, if you want to put your moral compass in the right direction, go and drop a package off at that homeowner's door, even if they don't know it's coming, because you are dropping some information off to somebody at 5 o'clock. Okay? Fair enough? Good. Okay? But like what I'm trying to get to at this point is don't dive too deep in the conversation. With all due respect, a simple 5-minute discussion would not do me or the process justice. Set the appointment. Okay? And, you know, one of the other things is that one appointment doesn't mean you're getting the business, folks. 2 or 3. Lou, like Monday, okay? Like your one today. It'll be 2 or 3 appointments before you get the business if they are mentally stable, folks. I think you want to deal with those type of people. Okay, so one of the things that also is that I'm going to refer you to in your resource booklet, okay? We turn over the page. The letter, if you go back, to the letter just at the bottom here, it looks like this. This is an expired letter. The reason I put an expired letter in there is because I don't like to give you excuses not to call, but if you want to send out a mass mail out, you won't get as much cut through, but there's one there that has worked really, really well. William Soto did this one, and I think he got 2 or 3 auctions out of it, to be honest. You could ask William yourself. I now turn over to the prospecting. It says prospecting expired listings at the top with the blue Harcourts auction line at the top. Folks, one of the things that I do ask that you do is understand just some key characteristics and points and privileges of the auction process and our process, okay? The dot points are just there where it goes through, no extra commissions, buyers are not charged an extra fee, you know, non-contingent sale on auction day, complete transparency and general process, close of escrow within 30 days after auction, da 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 da. Okay? Just some real talking points that you can just give them snippets if they have a few questions. The examples of the scripts are over the next page where it says example 1, example 2. Let's do one of them. Okay? So, ring, ring, ring. I've got a mistake in here where I want to point it out. Okay? So, ring, ring, ring. Hi, it's Ben Brady from Harcourts Real Estate just down the road. I'll apologise up front. Yes, I am a realtor. Have some fun with it, folks. Remember, you are calling them after every other realtor has called them. Okay? I know you already know that your home is expired. One of the things that I hate in any script is telling them that their home's expired. They know, people. Thank you. Okay? I know you already know that your home is expired, but I'm calling with a genuine reason, as I'm part of a company that has a program which has been specifically designed to help a property in your situation, and it's our non-distressed auction platform. Now, I've put non-distressed in there because most of you will say that at the beginning of auction. Personally, if I was making these phone calls today, I would not have non-distressed in there. I'd just say our auction platform. Because they were more likely to then say, well, I'm not distressed, and engage in the conversation. Okay? Next part, okay? Let's say they're like, no, I'm not interested, or whatever they're saying, okay? I'm dropping off some information at 38 Smith Street and talking through the auction platform a little further with them, so I could do the same with you at 6 o'clock. Now, the thing that I want to point out could do the same for you at 6 o'clock. No, so I will do the same for you at 6 o'clock. Not could. I'll do the same thing for you at 6 o'clock. When we do this, we automatically are looking for a no, aren't we? We're expecting a no. Change your thoughts to expect the yes. Every time you pick up the phone. Look for no instead of yes. Does that make sense? A good example of the assumptive close, I've got it in my other one actually. A good example of the assumptive close is, and I'll go through it with you because it's a great closing technique. Calista and I, has anyone ever heard of Lorna Jane?
Yes. Yeah,
it's like a fitness wear. It's like a Lululemon kind of thing, but it's an Australian-based brand. I got to go to the Lorna Jane headquarters because, believe it or not, Lorna Jane in Australia, in Brisbane, Queensland, where Harcourts is based internationally, it's our international headquarters. Lorna Jane is head office is there as well internationally. Anyway, we got to do a tour of their factory, and they spoke about their sales techniques. And the reason we went there is because of an experience that I had. Calista and I walked into a Lorna Jane that was downstairs from our place. She wanted some new leggings, and Lorna Jane, I'm like, it's kind of expensive. I'm like, okay, right, fine. But it was interesting to see the sales tactics that all their guys had gone through, because the lady in the store, you know the upselling while you're in the change room, like Calista was trying on one set and another, so they'd hand over other things, and she'd go, okay, fine, I'll try that, and whatever it is. Now, got to the counter, Calista's handed me the pants and going, hey, I'm going to get those, okay, can you go and pay for them? I'm like, oh, fine. Now, this could be because I was oblivious, but I still think it's genius, because then they told us about it after, is that I'm at the front, I'm paying for things, the lady is engaging me in deep conversation, heavy conversation about this, that, and the other. I'm like, leave me alone, I don't want to talk to you, but still, okay? And wrapping them up, okay? They have an extensive tissue paper thing that they do with them. Why? To keep more time for an engagement and to distract you, okay? Next thing she does is Calista's come up to the front counter, both Calista and I are there, and she's like, this top looked amazing on you, I saw it looks great, I'm going to pop that in there as well, and bags it up, so guys, the grand total is there. Okay, no worries, get it, walk out. Get home, Calista goes to me, did you get me the shirt as well? I'm like, fuck no. No, well hang on, shirt as well, no. We didn't, did we pay for it? Did we pay for it? Oh, we might, did you steal a shirt? I've got to go give it back. Looked at it, no, we paid for it. Now guys, a little bit different, okay? You might think that that's deceiving, but ultimately I'm in a financial position where I could afford the shirt, and if I wasn't in a financial position, I would have said, hang on, shirt, or she would have told me $100 and whatever, and I would have gone, no, they were $69. Okay? I was distracted. Hey, do you know what? Did Callista keep the shirt? Did we take it back? No, we didn't. Okay? Now, we went and did the tour of their head office and they told us about this technique. And I'm like, oh, guilty. Now, it's funny how they put it. They look for a no. They don't look for a yes. They assume that people want everything that they try on. We need to assume that everybody needs this to sell their home. Okay? So they look for the no. Look for the no. In the sense of, hey, this is going to be a yes, regardless. Does that make sense, guys? I know it's a weird sort of analogy, but it stuck with me. Okay? Now, let's say that you don't get any opportunity to get their information, or excuse me, get an opportunity to go over and give them an appointment and talk to them about it. You still need something out of the equation. I'm dropping off some information at 38 Smith Street and talking through the auction platform a little further with them. So I will do the same with you at 6 o'clock. No, thanks. We're fine. We're not going to sell the home. Great. No worries. I'm the area expert, and it doesn't have it over the next slide, but it has it in your scripts here. Okay. I'm the area expert, and so I don't have to bother you again. I'll grab your email address and shut up. So, ratio. I did this when I first got here to the US. I had a gentleman, I can't remember his name now actually, said, nah, this shit doesn't work. I'm like, really? Find me 100 numbers and I will call them for you, okay? Spoke to about 40 people. Out of the 40 people, okay, we got 6 appointments and I got a little over 30 email addresses. That's here in the US. Usually it's a bit better in Australia, okay? However, the email addresses, you want something out of the phone call so they can go into your green pipeline leads, because guess what? Everyone's selling, it's a matter of when. They might look at selling again, they might look at buying, and you need to stay in contact with them. We're not going to do the activity because we're running behind. Okay. What's next? Guys, the pure ability, when someone says no to you, to follow up again. I made mention of this at the very beginning. In the basic principles, when someone says no, you have to follow up. What's next? Okay, direct them to the Harcourts auction website. Call up, hey guys, I didn't get a chance to tell you about our website. Go on, have a look at it. What's the best email address for you so I can send you off the website? If you call them a second time, they're very likely to just give you the email so that then you'll go away. Okay? Then, following up again and maybe doing a door knock, okay? Provide them with a list of our success. Invite them to an auction open house, okay? Keep them up to date with activity on other properties like theirs that are going down the path of auction. Hey guys, how many groups did you have through your open house on the weekend? Oh, we had 5. We had 32 at this property, or whatever. Okay, call me and I can tell you of any success that we're having over the weekends. Either way, you've got to engage them again and again and again until that property is listed, and then you need to stay on top of it, even if it hasn't sold after 2 weeks or whatever it is. I know that you are restricted in the way that you can approach people when there is a listing agreement, but I've never met an agent that is unbelievable that doesn't sort of teeter on the edge of the line, okay? So, expired FSBO listings, guys, I've said it to you a number of times before, eyes wide open. You know, what's the mental stability of somebody that is willing to say yes straight away, but also, please understand with expired listings, unless you were going to run the auction process perfectly, you are still dealing with a listing that has expired, okay? And it has expired, certainly in a marketplace like this, for a reason. Maybe not at the high end, okay? But you've just got to go into them eyes wide open. Yep?
Got a question. So I've been using your script, and I'm curious. Do you just launch right into it immediately without even, because sometimes people are like, whoa, hold on, who are you, what? You know, are you asking them for a minute, do you have a minute, or are you just going right into it?
Right into it, and if they ask me, they're like, sorry, who are you from? Okay, I used to get this. Harcourts is a well-known brand in Australia, New Zealand. No one knows it here, right? Okay? Say the word Harcourts in Australia and New Zealand, okay, you would think that people know it. Absolutely not. Okay? I had so many times, no, we don't own a tennis court. Okay? But the answer is yes, mate. And the reason why, that if they're like, whoa, sorry, what? Guess what you get to do? Keep them on the phone longer and go back through it again. Okay? But let's do this. Okay? This is called hiding out in the open. I'll give you an example because I used it yesterday, not yesterday, day before in the auction accreditation down in San Diego. Who's ever been really, really, really nervous about having a really brutal conversation with their sellers? A tough conversation. You will get nervous. So guess what, guys? Hide out in the open. You're real people. So before a tough conversation with a seller, hey Mark, I've got to be honest with you, mate. I woke up this morning, I didn't even have breakfast. I'm pretty nervous about having this conversation. Beautiful way to lead in. For example, ring. Hi, there's Ben Brady. Blah, 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 blah. Whoa. Sorry, what? Really sorry. I'm actually a little bit nervous to get on the phone and talk to you because I don't want to miss out on this opportunity. Let me start again if that's okay. Guys, that is pure, beautiful vulnerability, okay? People respond to vulnerability a hell of a lot more than arrogance, okay? Something that I toy with myself every day. Now, additional questions, guys, when handling inquiry. Another avenue, folks. Remember, everybody is selling. It is a matter of when. Everybody. When you get a phone call from somebody in the general public when you have a listing, additional questions. Now, I know that the MLS is the main driver of most of our inquiry, okay? I know you speak to agents a majority of the time. With our auction properties, it's not the case. You speak to the general public a little bit more. Asking these questions on the phone. So, for example, they call up, hey, what's this auction thing? You handle it appropriately like we've been through in the accreditation. And for those that who haven't, you will. But then don't leave the call after they said they're coming over or they're coming over to have a look at it or, okay, we're writing an offer, whatever it is. Hey, do you guys live locally? Okay? Even if it's another agent, I want to know about their client. Hey, does your client live locally? Yeah, they do. Okay, great. Do they need to sell before they buy? If they're an agent. Okay? If they're someone from the general public, do you need to sell before you buy? These were questions that I would ask because I would treat people a little bit differently that live locally and that need to sell before they buy. Make sense? Mm-hmm. Understand who you're dealing with from the front door, guys. Remember, I'm all about that it doesn't matter if they have an agent or not, remember, because they still got to sell something. They don't sign an exclusive listing agreement to go buy homes, okay? Prospecting around your auction. I'm going to just quickly flip through this because it's very, very similar, okay, to prospecting your rollout plan for other agents' listings. I'm just going to give you a page of reference. In your work booklet, guys, if you could go to page 30. In your resource booklet, guys, after you get through the expired section, there's some more expired listing letter templates that are all on the link that you guys will get. There's some auction stuff, obviously, there's some listing stuff. A good example of what people go, well, what do I send a seller if they've asked for more information? Okay, you know, some of our paraphernalia and marketing, guys, is all on that link as well. The statistic sheet is important. Okay, the auction versus traditional is a good one to give them as well. Our profiles, you know, as much as they're amped up to make sure that we look the best, to show that we are part of your team. One of the things that Christian Carstner does beautifully with auction, okay, is that, you know, when a seller goes, well, how are you going to market my home? Okay, he talks about how much he's going to pay us in the auction fee as his marketing dollars. So, for example, a home's $1 million. The auction fee out of that would be $5,000. $500,000, that'd be nice. Okay, would be $5,000. So he goes, well, I'm actually spending $5,000 on marketing your property, but also it comes with the effective negotiation of your property as well. Let me explain further to you. That cost is actually mine that I'm going to go to because it comes out of my listing commission. And you know what, there's also additional, he bullshits a little bit. He talks about that there's additional fees if it doesn't sell as well, just to make sure that we've done it right. What I'm doing here to effectively market your property, instead of putting a list price on it that's wrong, we get to go through auction by paying this fee or me paying this fee. Okay, and when we go through auction, means we don't get the price wrong, which means we don't deter any buyers and we get the entire marketplace. So that is the most effective use of marketing dollars. But also on top of that, we have a general third party involved that will help you guys understand the marketplace. It is actually our regional director of auctions, and here's some of his information. okay, and his credentials. He's a real estate expert that I'm going to be employing to oversee the campaign to make sure. Now, I know that's inflating my own ego or Jason's ego, but it shows that there is a quality control process for you. And guess who pays for the marketing? Yes, you guys do, okay? And the reality is that when someone says, well, how much money are you going to spend on marketing, or how are you marketing my home? It's a great solution, okay? Where is the other one? Calista hasn't put it in there. Actually, she might have. Might have gone past it. It's the letter to the neighbours, guys, that I wanted to show you. Some of you have seen it. No, it's not in there. Okay, it'll be in the link when she sends it through. Where's that clicker? Guys, when prospecting around your auction, again, remember the thing that I said at the very beginning? Don't focus on selling your listing, focus on getting your other one. Okay? An auction is a beautiful form of that. Wesley was the one that opened my eyes up to the factor that auction is a different word, so therefore you can prospect with it effectively. Because in Australia, I can't go around prospecting, hey, we have an auction process, because every single company offers it. It's actually regulated by the government, okay? So it's not an advantage. You can just show what type of results you had and how good you are at running it, okay? However, using auction as leverage in order to educate that marketplace. A good example is the letter to the neighbours. But to add to that example a little bit further, you've all heard me say this before probably, okay, but I will repeat it again just for effect. There's two words that I absolutely adore in the US, the word Harcourts and the word auction separately, okay? Harcourts because no one knows who we are, so when they look at your badge or they look at the brand or you tell them you're from Harcourts Real Estate, like who are they or what are they? I usually would just say Harcourts and not real estate for more confusion. What does Harcourts do? Well, let me tell you, you get an opportunity to then pitch. Airtime is the most important thing ever for real estate agents. Airtime with a client, getting engaging in a conversation so that therefore you can give the pitch. Same thing with auction. You say auction here, what does it mean? Distress, foreclosed, REO, bank sale, or the crash of whatever 2008, 2009, okay, it all comes into play. Well, no. Actually, what it is that opportunity to explain what it is allows you to actually impress a client. When does somebody become your client? The moment that you impress them enough that they engage you. And the only time that you can have to impress them, okay, is when you open your mouth and talk. All right? So auction provides that type of leverage in all of your prospecting. So a good example. You remember the rollout plan that we do around other agents' listings and our own? Using auction is pretty much the same, but using the word auction in it. This is an additional step. When you list an auction, you have the opportunity to take what is a letter from your sellers to the neighbours. Not from you to the neighbours, because they're not interested in that. They would be way more interested. Like, again, Rob and I were doing this today. Do you know the highest viewed video that we have as Harcourts USA that we've put up on social media is that stupid accent one? Has everyone seen that?
Yeah.
Okay? If you get a chance, go on to the thing and have a look at it. And it's nothing at all real estate related whatsoever. All it is the Australian accents compared to the US accent. Australian words compared to US words. And whether or not each one of us knew it. I was with Bob, okay? And I would say something and he would have to guess what it is if he didn't know what it was, okay? And that is by far the most viewed video. Rob's doing a marketing presentation over in South Africa. He was showing me his presentation. You know, a roofing company, okay, in, I think it's the Pacific Northwest, they had all these videos, tutorials around how to fix your roof, like business stuff. Okay, this is how we do it. They were getting 1,000 views, 1,200 views. But what they did is on a overcast day, okay, they put up a post where they'd had a drone go around and film their entire area, and all it said, we love it. We love watching this video when the day isn't as bright as what it normally is, or something like that. They had 92,000 views. Just crap that actually isn't business related from somebody trying to get something out of someone, okay? Like ridiculous views. There's a real estate agent in San Diego, like what Jesse Salas is doing a little bit. It's a real estate company that they have about 5,000 followers on their Facebook page. The guy who owns it opened up a San Diego Eats or something like that page. He has like something like 100,000 followers. And all he does with his little brand of real estate down the bottom and his contact number is goes and reviews restaurants and eats in San Diego, like on a really casual basis. This letter here is an indirect approach. If you tell your the neighbours, this is a letter from my sellers, not from me, they will open it 10 times more than what they would open it if you said this is a real estate letter. Okay? So, on unbranded piece of paper, and an unbranded envelope, dear neighbours, okay, which it says on the front, you go and door knock it and say this. Hi there, it's Ben Brady from Harcourts Real Estate. I've just listed 38 Smith Street down the street. We'll be using our auction platform to sell the home. Shut up. Auction, oh my God, they're losing it. What's happening? Hey, do you know Bob and Diane, first of all? Here's a letter from them explaining why they've chosen to use the auction platform to sell their home and uphold values in the area, That letter simply gives them all the information that they got in the listing presentation, why they did it, and it's from them. With your information at the bottom, hey, if you have any questions, feel free to call our agent, or know of anybody that's looking to buy in the area, feel free to call our agent, and your information. It is a referral before you've even sold it. That's important, guys, if you execute on that. Then, okay, this is one of the things that I want to, as we close up the session, we've got about 5 minutes and I'll get through it pretty quickly, okay? This is the thing that I want to point out. This may or may not apply here, but 24 points of contact is what we found as a business. We had 5 offices, as I mentioned. My business partners were a lot older than us. They loved numbers, or one of them loved numbers, and did a full feasibility study on how many times you have to interact with people in order to get them to let you into their biggest asset and do a listing presentation. We had 2 ladies that used to run our R&D department. All they'd do is just run analytics and statistics for Bill so that he could tell the agents about things. Now, this may not apply for here, as I mentioned, 24 points of contact, but we found 24 points of contact is what somebody needed as a seller to have enough credibility as you, as a real estate professional, to invite you into my biggest asset and get an opinion. So, what were the categories of the 24 points of contact? Face-to-face conversation, a phone call, recognise you in a mailer or a flyer, see your open house sign, an auction for sale sign or a normal for sale sign, a sold sign, and an email, okay? In an auction, this is the category of what we're about to go through a little bit in respect to scripts, okay? Say you door knocked the letter to the sellers before it was listed, there's 1 point of contact. You door knock to follow up the letter and invite them to the first open house, there's another. You door knock to inform them of the leftover buyers. How many people were left over, not willing to buy that home, but Mr. and Mrs. Seller, there's 8 more people looking to buy in this neighbourhood. Do you know of anybody looking at selling? Okay? Then let's say you did that every time there was an open house. Let's say you're doing a 4-week auction. There's 7 odd times that you can do it. I don't advise that you do it every time because you'll be locked up for stalking. However, okay, there is those opportunities there. They see your open house signs. Guys, make sure your brand or your name and phone number, as much as there are restrictions, make sure your names and phone numbers are on all of your signs, okay? So that they can continue to see your name, because that is recognition yet again. Door knock to invite them to the auction, door knock to tell them the result of the auction, door knock once it's in escrow, okay, if it sells prior to, call them once it's closed, they see your sold sign up for a few weeks driving through the streets. Did anyone ever see that sold sign that we had up with Bob Arthur on PCH in Laguna Beach? We paid $500 to the new seller, or the buyer, to keep it up for an additional month after we sold it. Sold with an auction sign. It's beautiful, okay? And the reason why, impressions. Guys, there are way more than 24 points of contact here, even if that is the rule here or even if it's not, okay? There is way more points of contact even with one auction to get people's business. Imagine if you had 2, 3, 4 in an area and you did that. So this is the rollout plan for your auction, very similar to what we've been through. Your scripts are there, and I don't know what page it's on, but it will be there somewhere. Okay, over onto page 32, yep, and then over to page 33. So you door knock after the letter to invite them, and all the other things that I've just gone through with you. It's simply keeping people up to date. A huge problem that I see in real estate is that agents don't communicate with the neighbours as much as they do communicate with their sellers. It's interesting, and this is going to sound wrong, and don't quote me on this, I'll deny it if you say that I said this, okay? It's kind of actually, who are the more important people in your sale? They might not be your sellers. You've already got in their business.
Your prospects next door.
Correct. Price reduction, okay? You should go and tell them about it. Doesn't sell at auction and we go back traditional. Go and tell them about it. Guys, the thing I want you to understand, and you probably already do, what is the assumption of a real estate agent if someone's allowed to make one? Is it negative or positive most of the time?
Negative.
Why allow them to make assumptions then? They only make assumptions when you don't inform them of things. For example, if you ever do a price reduction on a traditional listed property, hi there, it's Ben Brady from Harcourts Real Estate. I just wanted to let you know I've got that property listed at 38 Smith Street. We had it listed previously at $549,000. But unfortunately, I think I've gotten in the way of the sale a little bit because I've been guilty of trying to get my sellers too much. Now, I'd rather be guilty of trying to get them too much than too little. However, we have readjusted our expectations after our findings in the marketplace, and we've reduced our price to $539,000. We think we'll be able to get a result fairly quickly and still keep values in the area upheld. I appreciate your patience with it, and I'll be in touch with you soon. Let me know if there's any questions. Goodbye. Rather than them driving past or seeing it on Zillow or getting a notification going, oh, that agent's beating the seller over the head with a 2x4, okay? Rather than them seeing an auction sign be taken down, go and tell them post-auction, hey, we used the process to educate ourselves. We had this many people through the front door, allowed our seller to make an educated decision on the market. A seller takes their property off the market after auction. Go and tell them. They made a decision because it gave us what the marketplace was willing to pay, and it just wasn't enough. That just goes to show the control auction has, or the seller has in an auction process. Okay? Either way, guys, this is a communication plan for the neighbourhood. Think to yourself, who's actually really the most important one in a transaction? Could be the neighbours. Because they're your future business. Final thing, guys, that I'll go through quickly, okay, is open houses. Getting the address out of somebody at the front door. Think about this. Actually, let me put it this way because it says it that way, so I will. What would you rather do, Felipe? Would you rather call 100 numbers in the morning? Or would you rather do an open house where people come to you willingly, okay, and you get, say, 20, 30 people through? Which is a better effective use of your time, do you believe?
The open house.
Yep. But it's also a little bit better for your sanity as well, folks, okay? An open house is a nice thing because they're coming to you, right? So therefore, asking some questions, remember when you get people's names at the front door? Most of you don't ask for their address. You don't have to. If they don't want to give you the address, just go, hey guys, I just want to know whether or not you're a local. Oh yeah, we live locally. Great, okay, big asterisk goes beside it. Because that's who I'm going to be following up with, okay? It still relies, the whole thing still relies on follow-up, okay? Follow-up is the backbone of any true successful real estate agent. Open house follow-up is where you turn a stranger into a listing appointment or client. In that follow-up, we follow up on the Monday or Tuesday after our open houses on the weekend, don't we? If you get really serious and you understand how good this can be for your business, I used to follow up on Saturday and Sunday afternoons after my opens. Why? Because I was scared that another agent that they already went to another open house was going to follow them up before me and get an appointment before me. Because that's how effective my open houses were for me getting new business. Okay? So using an assumptive question can take a conversation from nothing to where you want it to go. For example, one of them, have you currently got your home on the market? Make an assumption they have to sell something. Let them correct you. Remember we spoke about that, that looking for a no instead of a yes? Okay? Rather than saying to them, you have to sell before you buy or whatever it is, that's another way of putting it. Have you got your home on the market currently, or have you got your home on the market currently? Oh no, we actually don't need to sell. Oh, tell me more about that. Okay? Act like you already are, act like you are their agent already. Okay? For example, say to somebody at the end of a call, if they're a buyer, that their agent hasn't come through the open house with them, okay? Hey, describe your ideal property to me, just curious. No, Ben, this one isn't for us. Hey, I'd love for you to describe your ideal property to the client. Another one in the follow-up. Guys, this is one thing that I used to do. Hey, describe your ideal home to me. What's this, this, this. Okay. One of the best ways that I've helped people in the past is if I come over to your house and you show me the things that you like about your property and the things that you're looking for in your new house. This allows me to see it from your perspective, so I'll stop by on Wednesday between 5 and 6. It takes a lot of guts to have that conversation, guys, and push your way into the appointment. But I will say this, okay? And his wife is sitting in the room. This is pure Wesley right here. He will push his way into whatever situation that he sees an opportunity. It is aggressive. Yes, it off-puts some people. But guess what? He has never ever missed an opportunity of business. That is one thing that he has to be applauded for. Is that he would say something similar or whatever it may be if he had a sniff that they were thinking about selling or whatever. Okay? But that is one thing that I used to do as well, guys. I would never take an opportunity for granted. I would rather them tell me to go away and leave me alone, you stalker, than be polite to my face and list with someone else. Okay? Guys, that sort of sums us up for today. Okay? Do you have any questions at all?
How often a day do you, so obviously based on your prospecting, it's based on what you want to make, what you want to earn. So how often do you put aside for just prospecting and then switch to maybe follow up so that you can kind of compartmentalize it?
I compartmentalize it as all prospecting. Follow-up is still prospecting too. Okay? However, how I would define my time and what I would spend and all that type of stuff really does determine the numbers. So for example, let's say your number is 20 and you need to get 20 listings, sell 20 listings a year, so you need to equate to the fact that you're going to do more auctions, so you'll do 30 listings. So what I would need to do, my real number that I'm looking to hit is not number of properties sold. My number is listing appointments, okay? Listing appointments comes from prospecting, right? So I would know what my interaction, what my activities would need to be every week to get X number of listing appointments to keep me on track. Now, the important part of how do you know that? You've got to keep a prospecting diary for a period of time when you first start. There's going to be 3 months where you're not going to have a clue what you're doing and whether or not it's effective, but you need to keep a tab on every single interaction or every activity you do to know what your return on investment is most of the time. Then you pick the parts that are better for you, okay? So then you know how much time you need to spend prospecting per week in order to get that number.
What about when you follow up with someone, you get them on the phone, and whether they hang up on you or just dismiss you? You say you call back and
Absolutely.
10 minutes later?
Absolutely. What do I say? Hey, look, Mark, I just know I can genuinely help you. Give me an opportunity to just discuss our non-distressed auction platform that has actually been designed to help you, like I mentioned before, but being designed specifically to help you.
And then are you taking a certain number of, so Kevin keeps mentioning, he said, get up to like 100, figure an area you want to call prospect phone call. He goes, set aside maybe, find 100 eventually, these are the ones you'd like to really get. And then just keep working those same 100 instead of always continually getting some.
Oh, you can do. Yeah, you can do. That's still simple farming, and you're just being more picky about the ones you want to do.
Like making your prospecting a farm in a sense.
Yeah, but remember, I'm the wrong person to ask that question because I don't get passionate about people or real estate that I want to deal with. I just want every home to be mine, and I want to be the expert because again, I take it personally. I see that potentially as an excuse for me. Oh, they weren't in my 100 and they listed, so that's fine.
Well, no, I don't mean that, but I mean just because it seems to me like it gets really unmanageable. You're calling all these people. Who do I follow up with? Who do I not? I mean, how do I determine?
Pick your farm area, mate.
That's what I mean.
Do 1,000 in your farm area. Make sure it's feasible, and just make sure that your main goal is that everybody knows who you are in that area and what you do. That is your main goal. Yep.
Cool.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
No worries.
Ben, what what are you teaching in our office on the 15th?
It's sort of a bit of spot training that Art asked me to do. So it'll sort of be more like a question answer sort of setup, Kathy, where it's like, guys, what do you want to talk about?
Got it.
Okay? Because this stuff's more specific, but we can dive into whatever topic that you want to talk about at that session, okay, in respect to whether, and we'll spend a bit of time on that, whether it's whatever, listing appointments, do the agenda again. I'm just there to help in that sense.
Excellent.
Your name
I
is?
think Chuck.
Chuck.
I'm with Newsport.
Perfect.
I'm actually the recruiter.
He's our
Oh, great, excellent.
I live and breathe this. Like, I love this more than anything I've seen in a
That's
long
good,
time.
man.
So, yeah, it's a true differentiator.
Yeah, it is.
And it's something that I think is.
Well, mate, coming to this type of stuff allows you to then, be able to pitch it a lot easier.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm already sold on it. I mean, 94%.
Yeah.
96%.
Yeah.
24, 28 days. How'd
What
that
else?
150 days work for you?
That's right.
And
Exactly right.
It's just, it's funny to me.
It's good, man.
Yeah, but it's good stuff. What I was saying is that management thing was, the last thing you just touched on was exactly what I was looking for. Are you transposing those notes to